This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show. Judge, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Dolphins to the Heat, well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, lollipop blow in the...
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Show O's on the radio, the top's where we gonna go, Miami, that's the way we roll.
Folks, you can support the hardest working sports talk show in South Florida through Cash App or Venmo. Just search Cash Big O Show. Support us through Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. We thank you for your incredible support.
On the morning show, Big O, no one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk...
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Live and direct, because nobody do it better than Big O in the set. From sunrise, listen live.
When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today. 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com. The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Good morning. Welcome aboard. Time to rock and roll, baby. Yes, sir. It is Wednesday. You know, we do it just slightly earlier today. We rock out today because at 9 o'clock, we've got, of course, the Palette Rock City Inside the Paint show. And, man, things are getting hot and heavy. I love it. The season opens up tomorrow for the Miami Heat. Last night, we had a couple of NBA games. So the NBA season has already started. Panthers are now 3-0 after thrashing the Lightning last night, 4-1, led by 20-year-olds. Man, the Lundell kid, that was like one of those, like, wow, okay, they added another piece to the puzzle in that young guy. And yet last night I'm watching the Panthers and I'm thinking Miami Dolphins. And I know some of you are going like, how are you thinking Miami Dolphins? And I'm going, okay, look at Spencer Knight and look at Anton Lundell. These are young. I believe Lundell was the 12th pick in the first round. And so you're talking about a kid that obviously a high pick, and so is Knight. And these are two 20-year-olds. And this is like the future of the franchise. And you start feeling good, even better about the Panthers because they're a damn good team. And here's a young goalie. Finally, it looks like maybe they found that young goalie that they've never done it throughout the history of their franchise. They've never found that young goalie, kind of like the Dolphins trying to find the young quarterback post Marino. Haven't been able to do it, and we're all hoping Tua is the guy. But you know what it is? Last night, I'm looking at it, I'm going, I want that feeling for the Dolphins. And while I believe Tua can be the guy, obviously he has not convinced people, and he hasn't done enough to say that he is, right? So you still have those question marks. And you look at the Panthers, and because they've hit on some other guys, you're like, holy crap, they found a couple of other guys in Lundell and Spencer Knight. And you feel like, wow. And that's what I want for the Dolphins. And we haven't had that wow feeling yet. We're waiting for, Phillips to get to that point. We're waiting for even though Waddle, I think, is a stud, man. He's just stuck on this offense and these offensive coordinators that are terrible and an offensive line that is not ready. But you see what I'm saying? It's like you don't get the feeling like their young guys have broken out to make you feel good about them. Whereas with the Panthers, right away, you saw those two guys and you're like, holy shit. They added two more weapons to their team, and it makes you feel that much better about the Panthers. And those are the things last night that was kind of crossing my mind in a way. When I'm watching that Panthers game, I'm going, I want this feeling for Dolphins. I want us to feel about the Dolphins the way we feel about the Panthers right now, because we know that the Panthers only have one hurdle, and that's the team they played last night. If they can hang and beat Tampa, they can hang and beat anybody on the planet. Okay? And I know Kucherov wasn't playing yesterday for Tampa Bay, so that's obviously a major weapon of theirs. Now, they're still an awesome team without him, but, I get all of that. But at least you know that if the Cats can hang with these guys, which they can, and listen, Kucherov on the ice or not has nothing to do with them scoring 4 goals. Well, 3 of them, because the other one was an empty netter. I think it was Duclair that got the empty netter. And so, for me last night, it's just watching that was pretty freaking awesome. Barkov picked up a goal yesterday. Reinhardt had 2 assists yesterday. Really, really fun game to watch. And it was a moment also that the Panthers lived up to, because these are the tests, right? And if you lose these kind of games, it kind of deflates you a little bit. You win this game, and it means, listen, I know it means almost nothing early in the season here, but it's nice to start off 3-0. Okay? I mean, come on, man. It's nice to start off 3-0. I'll take that any day of the week and twice on Sundays to start off 3-0. And our winter teams, man, that's going to be our saving grace right now. Because unfortunately, our football teams, they're in the developmental stages now is what we have to do. Just watch some of the young guys hopefully develop. Van Dyke's talking with a lot of confidence, and with the Dolphins, obviously, let's hope that Tua continues his development, because for me, that's kind of my goal for this year is watching the Dolphins and watching the development of Tua, and hopefully I can feel really good about Tua by the end of the year, and we can feel good about at least the quarterback position by the end of the year. Who knows what else, we'll feel. But anyway, last night, Panthers, great stuff. Anton Lundell, kid that just came out of nowhere yesterday, picks up a goal and an assist. So good stuff, man. It's nice to see the Panthers start off the way they have, 3-0 and beating the Lightning and beating several quality teams. You've beaten the Penguins, the Islanders, and the Lightning. Okay, that's not a cheesy 3-0. That's a solid damn 3-0 right there. And the Islanders have been a thorn in the Panthers' side a little bit too, right? They've done their share of eliminating the Panthers in the playoffs, right? So it's, again, doesn't mean much here, in October. I get all of that, but I'd rather have the wins than the losses. So nice to see them actually start off 3-0, man. That is absolutely freaking awesome. And for those of you that you may not be a hockey fan, get on board, man. Get on board, take some time, learn, all that good stuff. So the question is today, does Bitcoin hit 65,000? I think they do. I think Ethereum crosses the 4,000 mark today also. And by the way, I see some of you are taking advantage of OKCoin and Miami Coin, because I got a little present in my Miami Coin wallet in Bitcoin. So those of us that are getting free Bitcoin, power to us, the free Bitcoin. I like it. You getting free Bitcoin. I'm getting free Bitcoin. Yeah. And then we're getting 430%. So those of you that have downloaded the OKCoin app and gotten the Miami Coin and staked it for 430%, good for you, man. Good for you. You are winning. I got the link there on my Twitter page at Big O Show. So if any of you out there want to do it, it's free money, man. The way I look at it, I'm not a financial advisor. Can't tell you what to do with your money. You do whatever you want, but I'm telling you what I'm doing. And it is easy money. I mean, you want to give me 430% interest? I'm going to take it, man. I'm going to take it to the bank, 430% interest. Let's go. Bring it. That's why I told you all out there. I want to share the wealth with all of you out there. We're all together in all this craziness. Plus, I want a lot of you to learn about DeFi, and I want you to learn about crypto, and in the end, it's where we're going. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are going to be left behind, and a lot of people are going to go through a rougher patch because they did not take advantage, especially in these infancy stages where, it's at least again, I feel like it's something you can really, really take advantage of and maybe even set yourself up in the future. We, of course, are rocking and rolling already on the chat board. Thank you all out there. I see Steve Chapman is leading the way and kicking ass as always. Number one on the board. Steven Gonzalez is in. Also, don't forget, folks, to smash the like button. It is very important you smash that like button. Thomas Jensen in. Gus 1388. Nizzle in says, need some positivity today. Oh, excited for the Heat season. We have a contender. Yeah, man. Heat and Panthers. I mean, the Panthers are the bigger contender than the Heat, actually. Let's be honest now. But they're both, they both are playoff teams. They both have opportunities to make deep runs in the playoffs. Certain things fall in the right place for the Heat. They could go all the way to the NBA Finals. I truly believe that. But certain things have to fall into place. The Panthers, they're just talented enough to win it all, period. They're not just talented enough to make a deep run. They're not just talented enough to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're talented enough to get to the Stanley Cup and win it all. It all comes down to the goalie. So really, our winter teams, man, it's Heat and Panthers. They are going to be our saviors as bringing us a lot of entertainment. Although I will say this, while I'm expecting the Heat and the Panthers to carry us on the sports world, I still believe that the Dolphins season is not a lost season if Tua does develop. If Tua develops, then the season becomes a success in my book. All right? That there's no doubt in my mind that's the way I'm going to look at it, because it's not like I expected the Dolphins to win a Super Bowl or anything like that this year. I was just hoping they would get into the playoffs this year, kind of set it up, and then the following year make a deep run. But obviously now, that's going to be a setback. But if at least I can get out of this season that I feel good about Tua, then I feel like the Dolphins would have made a ton of progress. Because if you can get the quarterback, then, man, that's half the battle. Now you got to start to figure out everything else, and maybe you can get to the point where we need to get to as Dolphin fans. So, yes, Heat and Panthers are our sports savior. There's no doubt. But the Miami Dolphins can bring us a lot of satisfaction in the sense that if that quarterback can develop, then, we can feel better about the Dolphin future. If the quarterback doesn't develop and the coaching doesn't come through and the players don't take that next step, then we're not going to feel good about anything. Personnel, coaching, the quarterback, and that's what I don't want. Okay, I can't end this Dolphin season feeling like there was zero progress. If that happens, that's just so depressing. It's not even funny. I don't even want to think about it, actually. Let's see. Trekkie Trek says, hi all, hashtag Finn's loyalty from the UK. Damn right. Get it going, baby. Hashtag Finn's loyalty. That's what I want on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. I don't care where you're at. Hashtag Finn's loyalty. Rosendo Marco says, morning, Big O. Thought of the day. Every good thought you think, every good word you speak, and every act of kindness you perform is lifting your spirit to new heights. Happy Wednesday, and God bless. Thank you, Rosendo. Appreciate you, man, as always, and always love reading those positive messages that you send in, my friend. Ian from Brooklyn is in. Sneak Attack 305 says, Shiba, Shiba, Shiba. Hey, man, if Ethereum starts climbing, you'll see that Shiba will climb with Ethereum. I just want to get Shiba to the point where they are burning coins. That is the most important thing, because if we want this thing to actually climb, because it's not going to get ever to 10 or 20 cents. It really isn't, because the market cap number would have to be so ridiculous. But if we wanted to get to like a quarter of a penny or half a penny or whatever, it would be nice if it is going to burn for transactions, It really needs to do that. So it becomes, deflationary. And it's very important that it does that. You don't want to be in the Doge situation. Well, they're not in a Doge situation because they've only got a certain number of coins. But, you want to be as deflationary as possible. That's what's going on with Ethereum. You know that I believe it's like over 2 billion Ethereum has already been burned. Burned, done, gone, disappear. That's 2 billion less of Ethereum that you're buying, which then increases the value of Ethereum overall. And that's why Ethereum is also going to climb. And wait till it was already talked about the whole layer 2 thing. They will have the what's that called now? I'm forgetting the damn oh man, I'm forgetting the word that I need for that. But anyway, they're going to have the program set sometime around February, March of 2022, and by July, the layer 2 should be implemented, which then obviously will increase the sharding and increase all the transactions and all that per second. I forgot how many hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. So when that happens, then that takes Ethereum to another level. 2022 for Ethereum is going to be so monstrous. It's not even funny. It's going to go up plenty now over the next couple of months, but it's actually going to soar in 2022. So it's pretty cool. So there you go. Mike Jamorzek is in. Robert Hidalgo Merman says the guy has a new hat every day. Thank you, sir. It's Inter Miami plays tonight, man. So got to give a little love to Inter tonight. I know we suck. I know my soccer team sucks. I know they're a disaster, but they're still my soccer team. So I'm still going to be watching. I care really a lot. And so I want them to win. So let's see what happens with our boys. Let's see. Nizzle, thank you. A little love on the super chat. Let's see. Robert Hidalgo says, did you ever look into Saitama up 116% this week alone, 47,000 total up? Where do you get it, Robert? What cryptocurrency market do you get it on? What exchange do you get it on? I gotta look it up, man. But I have to look it up and then I have to read up on it. I'm writing it down now. Because I did not look it up. I am sorry. But hey, man, if you're up that much, good for you, dude. Man, you're already taking profits if you want. Can Knight become the full-time goalie? Sneak attack, it's all up to Bob. Bob will be given the opportunity to be the number one guy because they're paying him a boatload of money. So if Bob performs at a high level, he keeps the job, and Knight will be his backup for the rest of the year. So you'll have the starter play somewhere in the neighborhood of 55 to 70 starts, and you'll have obviously the backup play 45 to 30% of the starts. I don't know. It all depends on how things go, but yeah, that's probably what's going to end up happening. But it's all up to Bob. If Bob falters, then Spencer will get the opportunity. 30 saves yesterday, only allowed 1 goal. And what's it called? Radko saved his ass too on one of them there that it got by him, and he was able to, sweep it out of the crease, which was really nice. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Too Extreme says if Tua develops, and he will, that will solve the hardest problem this franchise has had since Marino retired, and that's having our franchise quarterback. I believe Tua will be the franchise QB. I'm with you there too. Is if they give him the damn coaching and the offensive line, then yeah, he's got a shot. Jonathan Dill says, good morning, Big O. How are you and the family doing? We are doing great, my man. Thank you for asking, sir. Went to the doctor yesterday, got checked out. Everything all good, except for the weight. Got to lose the weight. So I'm gonna try to be a good boy now and try to eat a lot better. overall, so I could try to start losing some weight. I got to start losing weight, man. Got to start losing weight big time. But outside of that, everything else is good. Chris Adam in, Felix Soto in, Dr. or DC. What is that? DC Kai 305 says, people just want to be right so bad. Tua shaking my head. Never seen a fan base like the Dolphins. I know we're so terrible. We love our team. It's such a crime to be a Dolphins fan, to be passionate and care about your team and want them to do well and want players to excel and want the coaches to succeed and the front office and the owner, and you wish well for the fans and all that. I know it's really, we're such bad people, right? That, it's so bad to be hopeful and want things to turn around, right? I mean, it's so evil of us Dolphin fans. Yeah, we're bad people as Dolphin fans. Let's see. Sneak Attack says, I heard you were talking about staking the crypto. I read up about it and staked my Ethereum. There you go. You a smart man. Smart man. On crypto.com, I think you get 5.5%, I believe. Raging Dolphin Maniac is in. Says, love the Inter Miami Flamingo logos. I am with you, man. The Herons are very cool. And this is actually a very cool hat. They do have great swag. That I will give them. Their team isn't great. The talent isn't great right now. I don't know about the coaching, because, there were good stretches for Phil, but the team is so bad that I don't know what coach would get more out of this. It's such a terrible team. Such a terrible team. And I'm so tired of watching, how unathletic they are too, and how they lack speed. And it's funny how a world-class goal scorer like Gonzalo Higuain looks like an old man out there at times, because he's got no speed whatsoever, dude. And they constantly take the ball away from him. They outrun him to a ball. It's embarrassing, actually. It's embarrassing. Unfortunately, I love my team, but they made a shitload of mistakes, and they're going to be bad maybe for another couple of years. But I'll be there. I'll be watching. I'll be rooting. I'll be sporting the colors. I love them. I think eventually Moss will figure it out, man. That man is too driven. Roy St. Louis says, fans need to reset expectations and watch for enjoyment of young player development. Just give Tua a chance. I agree. Chris Adams says, Big O, the haters are out in full force, ready to pile on us and let us know how bad our team is. Drives me crazy. They're so smart. Predicting Fins would be bad. Real stretch. Go Fins. There you go. DC Kai goes, LOL, you flipped my meaning. They want to be right that Tua is bad. Oh, you're talking about the haters. Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes both ways, right? But yeah, everybody's out in full force, man. It's easy to pile on right now. That's kind of the way it is. It's just easy to pile on. Remember, at the top of the hour, we've got the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. The boys will be ready to rock and roll and give you some hardcore basketball talk, which, by the way, last night we went 1-1 with our predictions. We'll give you our picks for tonight in the NBA. We took the Bucks last night -1. They won easily 127-104. But the Lakers, man, that supporting cast did not support. Russell Westbrook, man, was it like 4 of 13 shooting bricks? So I took the Lakers -3.5. The Warriors, they came out to play. They won 121-114. Russell Westbrook, man, 0 of 4, 4 turnovers, 4 assists. LeBron and AD scored 67 points combined. They grabbed 22 rebounds. So they did their job. But you looked at the supporting cast, and there wasn't a lot of support there, man. So we lost that one. So we're 1-1 to open up the season against the number in the NBA. We'll give you our picks later on the program after the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show. I'm going to listen to Ira and Clay to try to get some tips so I can get over 500 this week. I need to start doing better on my picks. See, if I was as good on my picks as I am in crypto, forget about it. It's over. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm struggling a little bit there. So we're we're under 500 in the NFL right now, and we're at 500 right now to open up the NBA season. Now, we will have the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show at the top of the hour. And you know who runs that show? Yes, it's Clay Ferraro and Ira Winderman. So let's bring them aboard. Let's get a little preview from the guys. There they are. Gentlemen, are you ready? Are you psyched? Did last night get you started a little bit watching some of the games?
It's going down for real, and it's about time, because as someone who has been to the exhibition games and been to practice, every day during the preseason, I'm sort of out of things to write. I got one more story I'm posting in a few minutes, and then I actually want to write about real basketball. And I think Clay would agree. For as much as what we think the Heat are, we don't know what the Heat are. You never know about a new mix till you see it. And like in your previous segment, you said, what we thought the Dolphins were was not what the Dolphins are. Mm-hmm. So you can speculate all you want. You can take the over-under. You can look at season win totals. You can make your predictions. Until you know, you don't know. I don't know. I know, and we're going to talk about this at length over the next hour in the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show. I think the Heat will be good. I also think there's a chance they could be a number 6 seed. I think the Heat can endure well into the playoffs, or I think the Heat can get old and tired. So, I'm going to be putting a lot of this on Clay and just sitting back and smirking today.
I just want to hear. I just want to drop.
Clay, by the way, what going off of what Ira said, the Russell Westbrook thing last night, that's kind of the piece that you wonder, will it fit perfectly with the other two because he's such a ball dominant player.
Well, and before we get into that, I just want to request a drop of Ira going, "It's going down for real." Like, I need that. I need that in my life.
Oh, Sean,
I need that at the top of every single show.
That's it. Sean, that's it. You got it. Now you got to come up with a video.
That's like
it out and everything. Here we
go.
That's
like every night in the Winderman house right after the first episode of House Hunters International. So that's just the way it is, Clay.
House party with Ira Winderman. No, and I think your point about Russell Westbrook is dead on. If you remember back to last year, the Wizards really struggled early on to kind of get things figured out with him and Bradley Beal. Then towards the end of the year, they started to play a lot better basketball. The two of them kind of figured it out. Then Beal got hurt and all that. I question the fit from the beginning out there. And I know this isn't the Inside the Paint Lakers show, but I still wonder how that's all going to work out. I do think, though, there was something that David Aldridge said yesterday about John Wall potentially being a really good fit in Miami if he gets bought out. And Ira, I know you and I have talked about this, is that being the missing piece for the Heat is kind of having that backup point guard in many ways. Absolutely. A ball-dominant player like John Wall can really help you if you need a backup point guard and you need somebody. Russell Westbrook is somebody who is a volume player. Yes. And when you're relying on him and he has a minus 26, then it becomes a problem.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. So what do you guys got planned today Inside the Paint?
First of all, the timing could not have worked out better because Pat Riley spoke yesterday for just about 40 minutes or so. And when Pat talks, as you know, Big O, everyone listens. He sort of laid some groundwork.
EF Hutton. It's all EF Hutton.
Well, for those now that's going back a little bit, my friend. And the thing is, Pat's never been afraid to step on toes. So we know that he still prefers his men big. He still prefers to go, with a larger lineup, something Eric Spoelstra didn't. So they're not at loggerheads because Pat has also been deferential to the coaching with Eric Spoelstra, but he has certain thoughts on players. I was surprised when he mentioned his closing lineups, how he thinks it might be Tyler over Duncan. Eric Spoelstra is going to do in the moment what he thinks is best, but I think Pat laid a little bit of a groundwork. This is what the front office thinks. Now we'll see what the coaching staff thinks.
I also thought it was great that he looked right at Ira, and we're going to talk about this at the top of the show. Ira has been questioning whether or not they're a challenger or a contender, and he looked right at Ira like he's been listening to Inside the Paint and said, "We are a contender."
There you go.
I think if things fall into place, Yeah, I think they can be a contender because the Nets are very injury prone, and Kyrie, if he really doesn't play, then, and Milwaukee is a team that I think Ira's mentioned it throughout the offseason.
Yes.
After the free agents pickups, they have the guys to kind of match up with those guys, and they've got the mental toughness and the defensive disposition now that they did not have before because those young guys weren't ready to play that kind of defense. Now, I think this is a good thing. I believe it. I'm with Riley. I think they can be a contender, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, well, folks, get ready for some hardcore Miami Heat and NBA talk for the next hour. It is the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint Show. That's next. For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
This is the Big O Show.
You need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient. There's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available, from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends. When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for an hour of hardcore hoops with a Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint program with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. There's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Let's get to the show basketball fans crave. Let's get inside the paint.
Welcome, everybody. Clay Ferraro here, Ira Winderman there, and Sean Stanley keeping us on the air. Thank you so much, Sean. Guys, we'd like to keep this your show as well, not just ours. And Ira Winderman's so excited about that. He's like dancing back and forth, as we see right there.
It's real. It's real. It's finally happening.
It's real, and it's spectacular.
You and I started the show, back, in August we were talking and getting going on the show, and it's been week upon week upon week about what could be, might, and everything. And now we get to see it on the court, like we told Big O before we started the Palette Rack City Inside the Paint show today. And you finally get to take measure because you know what it's like. I mean, speculation is fine. But Clay, matter of fact, I'm going to put the ball in your court to start here. So, you've won. You won the toss. You got possession. You won the opening tip. I got an undersized center. I couldn't win the tip. Are you certain about this season? Matter of fact, in other words, if you were to ask me from like 1 to 10, am I confident or certain either way? I would put myself at a 5. Do you feel strongly either way that, hey, I'm Clay Ferraro, God damn it, and this team is going to the Eastern Conference Finals, or I really don't want to get into the play-in? Sort of where are you as far as whatever your opinion is, and we'll discuss that over this next hour. How strong are you that you think you know what the Heat will be?
I'm a 10 that they won't be in the play-in. That they won't be in the play-in. I'm really confident that they're. And you know what? Let me backtrack on that. As I start to dance myself. Put me at a 9 just because you can't predict injuries. And I mean, we saw it last night.
Sure.
Drew Holiday had to leave with a heel injury, and MRI was clean on him. My guess is he would sit out the game in Milwaukee. I don't think you want to push it, or the game in Miami.
I would think so too. 2 days later, yeah.
But I mean, it just kind of reinforces that you never know what's going to happen with injuries. So put me at a 9 instead of a 10. But if this team stays healthy, I'm a 10 that they're not going to be in the play-in. Relatively healthy. As far as are they going to be an Eastern Conference Finals team, I'm not going that far just yet. I will say this. I watched that game last night, the Milwaukee-Brooklyn game, and you start to see where this Brooklyn thing may not be what they want it to be for 2 reasons. Number one is the obvious one, the Kyrie Irving situation, and we don't know how that one's going to play out. I think I underestimated how much of an impact the rules changes are going to have on James Harden's game. And he's still a very, very good player, potentially a great player. But I think the thing that made him elite is he was probably the best at the NBA at drawing fouls on some of those unnatural movements.
Yes.
And so the transitional period between who he was and who he's going to need to be in this new NBA might take some time. So, look, Kevin Durant is still arguably the best player in the NBA, certainly the best scorer. And yet, I think that around him, there are enough questions to where I could see the Heat being the team that potentially challenges the Bucks. So put me at a 5 there, but a 9 as far as avoiding the play.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting, Clay, because the way the schedule started, the 2 teams that everyone is predicting ahead of the Heat in the East, pretty much, I think we'd agree. Everyone, you talk about your playoff tiers, and people pretty much have Milwaukee and Brooklyn at tier 1, and then the Heat and some other group of teams, mostly, not everyone, in tier 2 as well. Milwaukee is a team. They are from 1 through 8, 1 through 9. God bless you. PJ Tucker just posted a story at sunsentinel.com about his disappointment of not being back. But the rest of the rotation is back from last season. Even with Grayson Allen, some other moves they've augmented. They were a really good team. There's no way you and I can sit here and parse things about the Bucks we don't like, because they can play slow, they can play fast, they can play big, they can play small. They have wing scorers in a league when you need wing scorers. And you know what? We could talk all day about Giannis doesn't have a jumper, Giannis at the foul line. Believe me, they got through that problem just fine last season. They'll be able to get through that again this season. But Brooklyn, you're right about for several reasons. Obviously, the rule changes. Does Harden get to the line 75 times a game or not? But here's the other part of it. The Kyrie thing is important not only for Kyrie Irving not being there, but Clay, you know this because you lived through this reality and you're reporting on Local 10. It's like when the Heat didn't have Chris Bosh. Not only don't you have the player, but you also have 20 to 30 million of unusable cap space. Take any sport. Take the Dolphins if they had 20 to 30 million dollars of dead cash on their cap. You're not the same team. That's what Kyrie is. If the NBA would have given the Nets relief and said, okay, even sign a mid-level player, and they could have brought someone else in there, even Wesley Matthews, James Ennis, for example, a reasonably good name, it would make them that much better. But they're not only playing with one of their leading men, they're playing this huge salary cap void of not having replacement funds either. So the Nets are a little interesting that it could get sideways. And for all that Steve Nash says, I'm not talking about Kyrie anymore. You know this, Clay, as a reporter. You're still going to show up at practice and ask about him, ask players about him, and monitor this situation. The Kyrie Irving situation does not disappear just because Steve Nash is not talking about it. And you know what? With every loss, it becomes more prominently played, just like with every 76ers loss, Ben Simmons becomes more prominently played. So that's the thing. When you and I talk about where we think the Heat might finish, what their record might be, there's so much else going on in the conference that we have to figure out also. We have to figure Kyrie. We have to figure Ben Simmons. We have to get a look at these new remastered teams. Is Boston better, worse, or the same with Horford and Schroeder coming in, but Kemba Walker and Fournier going out? I don't know. I guess I'll see a little bit tonight against the Knicks. Can the Knicks become a better team with Walker and Fournier? Or all of a sudden is Julius Randle not as featured as a player? I don't know. There are so many question marks in the East, including with the Heat, that we need to get a read. And like Pat Riley said yesterday, maybe we all sit back, take a deep breath, Ira, wait 20 games, then we'll know what we need to do. I think that's reasonable. I think we still need to see what the Eastern Conference is all about.
And we're going to get into what Pat Riley said. We have a lot to get to today. It's amazing. You mentioned this last week, but it's like, we spend the first few shows kind of trying to find stuff to fill. Now there's so much we're kind of picking and choosing. Right. So we're going to talk about what Pat Riley had to say yesterday. I want to talk about these first few games for the Heat. And I think we want to make this kind of a recurring theme on this show where we look ahead to all of the games that are coming up during the week. And, not necessarily putting a W or an L next to them, but kind of going through the matchups and how we might see them play out. Get some of your questions, your comments here. Good morning to Thomas. Thank you very much. Roddy, the play-in has become a blessing and a curse for fans. You're happy that your team's in the playoffs, but watching those games is stressful. Yeah, it's really fun when your team is not involved. Because I remember that Warriors-Lakers game last year.
Yes.
That was like the game of the year. That was incredible. And it was a lot of fun to watch. Mike, hopefully the Heat will be a nice distraction from the Dolphins. That's why we're here every Wednesday morning, is to hopefully give you a distraction from
and that's also why Clay prominently displays his Panthers jersey. Matter of fact, I believe by next week that Clay's Panthers jersey will be on top of the Dolphins jersey, and he'll try to pretend he doesn't even have a Dolphins jersey. So keep an eye behind Clay for those watching us on the YouTube channel.
What you can't see is that the Heat jersey is covering an Inter Miami jersey, which is appropriate right now.
Yeah, I watched the game the other day. Literally turned it on for 5 minutes before halftime. Inter Miami, 2 goals against them. Okay, I'm done. Change the channel.
And then
another story, another day.
16-1 in their last. Like, how does that even happen? So okay, let's get to the Pat Riley comments from yesterday, and we mentioned this in the crossover. And I joked that it's clear that Pat Riley has been watching our show, but maybe it's not a joke. Maybe he does stand up just because he wants to listen to Ira Winderman.
Hi, Pat.
But he said, we're a contender. And something, Ira, that you've kind of made this distinction between being a challenger versus being a contender. And I think challenger status is, if everything goes right, then maybe you can put a scare into one of those teams, right? Your top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. Contender means like you're right there. And as long as, health stays relatively okay, that you're right there in that conversation. And I think with what we saw from Brooklyn last night, this is not a one game, we're going to overreact to it. But I think when you start to see how this thing is going to play out in the Kyrie Irving situation, if you're putting yourself legitimately in the top 2 to 3 in the Eastern Conference, and you feel like you could potentially be better than a Brooklyn team if these things don't play out, I think you have to call yourself a contender.
See, I'm going to disagree for this reason, Clay. If I were to give you a betting proposition, even money on this proposition, you can either take the Nets and the Bucks on one side of your bet to win the East, or every other team, and I give you 13 other teams to win the East. I am sure if it's an even money bet, which it wouldn't be, it'd be plus, whatever amount or minus whatever amount, you would take the Nets and the Bucks combo to win the East over the rest of the field. So I think that they, at least for now, have created the perception of separation for now. So the way I look at it is the Heat still has to earn their way into the group. Again, I'm probably a little higher than some are on the Celtics. But when I see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in a scoring league, when they're healthy, what they can do. Remember, Tatum last season had that COVID bout. It was never quite the same. Brown was out for the playoffs even that last week of the season, those 2 big games against the Heat. So I first want to see if the Heat are there with Boston let alone if they're there with the Nets or the Bucks. So I need to see a little more. I don't know this mix. I don't know. Kyle Lowry might want to play fast, and Jimmy Butler might want to say, like you said this week, I want to hide in the corner a little bit. I can't exhaust myself through an 82-game season. I need to see a little bit more. I think contender is perfect for Pat Riley to say. You should say that. It's your team. You wear the team's colors. You work for the team. I get the inside story, but I need to see a little more from beyond. Unlike, say, with the Panthers, there's not a single team in the Eastern Conference I look at with the Panthers. God bless Tampa Bay and what they did last year in the playoffs, or Ovechkin and what he can do with Washington. I get all of that, but I see them within everyone. I don't see that yet with the Heat. I need to be sold a little bit more.
So let me flip that question around then. Let's take the Nets out. And if I gave you Bucks and Heat versus the rest of the field, then would you take the field?
If you gave me Bucks and Heat on the rest of the field, I would take any group that has the Bucks.
And see,
I think the Bucks. I think the Bucks are the best team in the East. Now, I don't know tomorrow what happens at FTX Arena, especially if Drew Holiday, because of his injury, doesn't play. Road games are a little bit different. The Heat will have the home crowd. Finally have that. Amid all the COVID stuff, a real home crowd feeling. But I just look at the Bucks and I just say to myself, now, granted, I was going to tell you just now that they could be without any single player and be fine. But Giannis is such a difference maker that if Giannis wasn't playing, then I would change my perception there. So certainly they are a Giannis injury away from coming back down to the field. Last year was no fluke. Drew Holiday was the perfect pickup for that team on the eve of the season. Chris Middleton has always been highly underrated. But the problem was he was playing as the number one, and there was no 1A wing scorer. Now he has someone else there. They have found a way how to use Brook Lopez and their height a little bit more. They're going to get Dante DiVincenzo back, soon enough. Bobby Portis back soon enough. I think they're the elite. I think they're the team I'm chasing. So when everyone says, oh, you don't want to be the Heat and finish, and have to play the Nets or the Bucks, in the first round or even the second round, my whole thought is, and especially after last year, avoid the Bucks. Anyone else I can deal with. Like we said, the Nets have so many issues. Do they have the defense? Do they have the depth? That I think Milwaukee is the clear target team in the East. At least that's my perception.
Yeah, and so that's why when you ask the question, if I would take the Bucks and the Nets versus the rest of the field, it's more because of the Bucks.
Yeah,
and it's
I agree with that.
So some of the comments here, Thomas, I think the Heat will compete with the Celtics and Hawks for the third seed in the East, and as long as and look, I think that's fine. And you and I have said this before. As long as they avoid the play-in, I really couldn't care less. I'd like to see them get the 3 or the 4 to have home court in the first round, but and especially the 3, because then we're assuming the Bucks are the 1 and the best team, so you avoid them in the semifinals. Chris, the Heat are definitely the last line of defense for us 305 fans. Yeah, for sure. So I want to point out something that you said though about the Bucks. They can afford to miss any one player, and you mentioned Giannis.
Right.
I still feel like Drew Holiday is not as important as Giannis. I'm not going to go quite that far, but I think he's
a glue player. Yes.
I think he's irreplaceable. And I think if they were to lose Drew Holiday, I would put him in the category of they can't afford to lose him and be okay.
Yeah, he's their wing defender also, and that's important.
Yes.
Chris Middleton tries. Giannis will attempt to guard everyone, but then you're taking him out of his natural space, being closer to the basket, being a shot alterer, being a rebounder. So I agree also. So they're pretty much set. Again, you have to be whole. You take someone away, like we're talking about Kyrie, it does change the dynamic. You take Jimmy away from the Heat, or Bam away from the Heat, or Kyle away from the Heat. Same thing, Clay. You're not the same team. But again, it's finish line. It's not starting line. Will the Heat get to the playoffs healthy?
Yes.
Will the Heat get to the playoffs rested? Same thing with the Nets. Hey, if Kyrie's back the last 6 weeks of the season, if New York changes its mandate, that's fine. Those guys are veterans, Clay. It's not like you're trying to work in a new player who's learning how to play with those guys. The Nets will be fine with the final 6 weeks of Kyrie. And as much as you and I show up here every week at 9 o'clock on Wednesdays on Pallet Rock City Inside the Paint, we all know the regular season is just the means to get to the playoffs. The finish line is so much more important. But of course, there's the curiosity factor and the seeding factor.
So we're talking a lot about the Bucks, and a big reason why is because they're the best team in the Eastern Conference, but also it's the first game for the Miami Heat. And Pat Riley had some comments on that yesterday, and I thought it was really interesting. So we're going to get more into Pat Riley's comments and use that as a jumping off point into the opening of the season for the Miami Heat. That's coming up next right here on Inside the Paint.
Reach out to Ira and Clay. Drop them an email at insidethepaint@yahoo.com. Chime in on the YouTube chat board. You're listening to the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint Show. When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
When you're ready to purchase a new home loan or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today, 786-802-1727. Or online at adreamlending.com. Welcome back to the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint program with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. Let's get back to the guys that just updated their email from Prodigy to AOL. Here's Ira and Clay.
Welcome back to Inside the Paint. We're going to talk a little bit about Pat Riley and what he had to say yesterday. And I already joked in the first segment that he was looking directly at you when he said that this team is a contender because he knows your feelings on that subject. But something that I thought was really interesting that he mentioned, it kind of made me remember something that Eric Spoelstra said last season, beginning of last season. He said that Bucks loss, the getting swept by the Bucks in the Eastern Conference playoffs, left a really bad taste in their mouths. And he said they did a really good job against Jimmy Butler, had a really good plan against him, but Jimmy's the type of guy that's going to come back stronger and all of that. I remember back when, the Heat blasted the Bucks in the bubble in the playoffs, and then the Bucks came to Miami, regular season, and absolutely annihilated
47.
Oof.
The second largest loss in franchise history. 47. The worst home loss ever.
And one of the first things that Spo said was that the Bucks looked like a team that had been thinking about that game for 3 months.
Yes.
I have a feeling that the Heat have been thinking about this game coming up on Thursday night for a couple of months now. And I thought it was interesting, Ira. I know these are professionals and they don't need any sort of extra motivation, but when I'm watching the Bucks ring ceremony last night and they're showing the rings and there's that 4-0 on there, 4-0. I'm sure you saw the rings and it had 4-0, I think 4-3 because they beat Brooklyn. It had every single series and how many games that it took for them to win. And that 4-0, the sweep is just jumping out at you. you know that Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra saw that, and you know that that's the type of thing that they're going to use to energize this team as if they needed any extra motivation heading into tomorrow night.
You know, it's interesting because I wrote a story in the Sun Sentinel about that, and I try to pull as many players as I could. Bam Adebayo was honest. He says, look, it doesn't matter who we were opening against. We're coming off a 4-0 first-round playoff sweep. If we're not angrier coming into the season, whether we were opening against the Magic or the Hornets or the Kings, we should be a team that wants to make retribution against anyone. So I think that's important. All the other players downplayed it because, again, I think they want to make it more about them than make it about the opponent. And I get that, Clay, totally. But I do think it matters to the psyche that if the Heat go out and lay an egg, then all of a sudden we talked the whole first segment here on Inside the Paint about the Bucks being the team you're targeting. And if you all of a sudden on October 21st already have doubts that you can't beat the elite team in the conference, I don't know how you undo that. They go in about a month or so to Milwaukee. They'll have their chance. It's a back-to-back. I think it's Indiana and Milwaukee in early December. So they'll have a chance to maybe overcome that to a degree. But yeah, they need to also clear their own heads. Now, the difference, Clay, is this, is that right now, 2 members of the Heat starting lineup and 3 players of their top 8 in the rotation weren't with the team last season, when you're counting Markieff Morris, PJ Tucker, and Kyle Lowry. So they might not have the same motivation. But this team better just have a sort of chip on the shoulder motivation all season because that's who they are. This team does not have, likely will not have a top 10, maybe even not top 15 NBA scorer this season, the way they're built for balance. This team might have a bunch of all-stars and yet might not have any all-NBA player. So it has to be everyone. There has to be a good opening game from Jimmy Butler, from Kyle Lowry, from Bam Adebayo, and down the roster to see who we are. But if there's not a level of passion at the start here, then I would be concerned. Then we will be talking next week on Inside the Paint. Did Eric Spoelstra overwork them in the preseason? Are their minds not in the right place? Is this not the right mix? I know it's only 1 of 82. And the one thing I've learned over the years, this is not the NFL, 1 of 16, now 1 of 17. Don't overreact to any single game. And if they should lose, I'm sure Eric Spoelstra will say that. But this to me, and I think you were leading me into this, is more than just 1 of 82.
Absolutely. And because you want to look back at what happened last year and you talk about the psyche, I thought it was really important when you look at the trajectory of the Bucks season last year that they came in and blasted the Heat. They had to get that out of their heads. And
yes,
they did.
And they lost the next night to the Heat. They played one of those baseball-type series. The very next night they came back, the Heat had sat out Andre Iguodala the first day. They had everyone back the second. They made things normal, but the statement was made. And that's what I'm trying to say, Clay. You won't have another chance to make your Milwaukee statement until December. Just like when you play the Nets, next week, you're playing them because it's in Brooklyn without Kyrie Irving, so you can't make the definitive against their big 3 statement. So this is more than just a season opener. This is more than just your first time playing in a game where the building is called FTX Arena during the regular season. This is a chance to sort of set a tone a little in the East. Just like tonight, national TV, we have the Celtics and the Knicks. I don't know which team is better, but one of those teams in their head can come out of the game and go, hey, I can compete with the Knicks. I can compete with the Celtics. So I do agree it is more than 1 of 82. And yet I bet you when I'm done with this segment and I head down to practice and I try to ask Eric Spoelstra, is this more than 182? Nah. It's a long season. You can't look at it that way. We just want to grow and get better. That's what I'm going to hear. And I'm not going to write that.
Yeah, the coach speak stuff doesn't make Ask Ira. Tony says, Clay, how are the Bucks a clear favorites when they barely advanced against an injured Brooklyn Nets team last year? Because I don't know that this Brooklyn team is going to be any less depleted this year. To me, there are so many fewer questions about the Bucks than there are about any team. With Brooklyn, the Kyrie Irving situation, we don't know if he's going to be able to play in Brooklyn all year. We don't know when that mandate is going to be lifted, if it is.
Yeah, and Clay, I'm going to give you a Heat example here in the Bucks. When you win a championship, 1 of 2 things can happen. You gain your footing and your confidence. You remember the big 3 Heat. They went out against Dallas the first year, 2011. They were humbled, humiliated. They came back, won the 2012 title, got the Ray Allen shot to win in 2013, and at least made it to the finals in 2014. They found their footing and their confidence. But you also can go to the 2006 Miami Heat with Shaq and with Dwayne and Antoine Walker and Jason Williams and James Posey. They came back the next season and oh my God, they were still sweating alcohol. They looked terrible. And that team and that group never came together again. So you want to see where the Bucks are. I think the Bucks, because they got enough young, proven, level-headed, non-Antoine Walker kind of players, that I think that adds a swagger to the Bucks. That adds a confidence to them. All the doubts of Milwaukee 50 years and not winning since, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was still Lou Alcindor, that franchise gained its footing. And once you let a franchise gain its footing and become a player, I think that tends to move you forward a little bit more. So I think the Bucks are better, even with a similar roster, because I think the Bucks have championship confidence. That's what Eric Spoelstra told us the other day.
Yeah, and the only good thing about that Miami Heat next season was opening night. We got the Alonzo Mourning, the famous GIF now, where he
when they lost like about 40 to the Bulls and Joakim Noah and Luol Deng and that whole team, that was not a fun night. That was not a fun season. That was not a fun series against the Bulls to end that season.
And why I think the Bucks go that direction is it's never been about talent with the Bucks. It's been, look, Giannis is somebody who's immensely talented. He busts his tail. Nobody works harder than Giannis Antetokounmpo. And yet I think there was always this thing where maybe he was a little too nice. Maybe there was, and I think there was a question as to whether or not he had that killer instinct.
Edge.
But the second that you win one, then you prove to yourself that you've got that edge. And I think
because this is a league where one's not enough, because you have to be
absolutely
like the Spurs, like the big three Heat. Like that's why the big three Celtics sort of got forgotten so quickly, because they won one, they didn't back it up. They were viewed sort of as a temporary one-time champion. Yeah, this league it puts real burdens on you. And maybe that was created by what the Patriots have done in football as well, or going back to the Mr. October Yankees with Reggie Jackson. Sports, all of a sudden, one is not enough. One can be fluke eyes. That's what people did with the Heat's championship in 2006, with the Mavericks title in 2011. Can you back it up? I think Giannis has that sort of feeling and respect for the game that he realizes it's if you can back it up. That's what moves him into the talk with a Tim Duncan, with a David Robinson, with those other big men.
And by the way, guys, we have directions we want to go on this thing, but we want to keep this show yours. So I'm going to the comments section and answering whatever you've got. Ira, Sean, and I have our direction, but you guys take us wherever you want us to go. Mad Max, the pressure's on the Heat now. The Finns failed us. Yeah, and I don't know that the Heat feel the pressure of like every other team is failing, although the Panthers certainly aren't. Right. I think it's more they have an internal pressure. They have an internal edge, especially after what happened last year. But from a fan perspective, I can definitely see that.
And also, Clay, I want to add on one thing, because they talked about them having new players. Just about every player they added has an edge also.
Yes.
I just posted a story at sunsentinel.com about PJ Tucker, who is still seething that he is the only rotation player from last season Bucks who was not invited back for a commensurate contract. He has his edge. Kyle Lowry, the man has never played a single NBA game without an edge. That guy is, he exemplifies feisty. So he has his edge. Markieff Morris, less than just about a calendar year ago, was helping the Lakers win a championship. They unceremoniously dumped him to the point he's playing for a minimum salary for the Heat. So even the Heat, the players who weren't here to go through that humiliation against the Bucks, they also have their individual edges. So everyone on this roster is incentivized to do more, to give more, to deliver more, and to bring more.
I saw all I needed to see with Kyle Lowry when he got a technical in the preseason. Like
technical took a charge, almost got a flagrant foul. The man is crazy.
Dwayne Wade said this about Jimmy Butler. He said Jimmy Butler is crazy, but his crazy matches Pat Riley's crazy, matches Eric Spoelstra's crazy, and that's the kind of crazy that Kyle Lowry is. So it works out perfectly. Thomas, it's so enjoyable watching the Heat every game because they're going to play with passion and effort, which is embedded in their DNA. Yes, and yet I will say this. Whether it was mileage, exhaustion, just being over it, last year's Heat team didn't feel like previous Heat teams. I feel like this year's Heat team.
Last year was so unique with COVID.
No, I agree.
And Jimmy 20 games with COVID. Tyler Hero never had a transition from his freshman to a sophomore NBA season. There was so much unusual. And Clay, the one thing we have to take a step back now and also realize this is another COVID season. Al Horford is not available for the Boston Celtics for their opening game. We don't know about Jaylen Brown. COVID is a factor. You look down that NBA injury list, there's a bunch of players who have been or still are listed as health and safety protocol. That can torpedo it again. If Jimmy Butler misses, I don't think it'll be 20, but even 10 in a row. If Kyle Lowry has a health and safety protocol moment, we know the Heat are a vaccinated team. We know that gets you back to the court sooner, but so are the Celtics. And still, they wound up losing guys for considerable time in the preseason. Could happen again. So we're still sort of in this not normal, but now we're playing the normal 82 games. So the wear is going to be there. The pressure of a full season is there, but we're still sort of in this COVID, well, not sort of, we're still in the COVID environment.
No, for sure. I was more saying last year it was, you could tell games where the edge wasn't there, and it was completely excusable as to why. I have a feeling this year, even if you do have some of those issues, and I shouldn't even say if, say when, because I think every team is going to deal with this on some level. I think the quick turnaround from the end of the bubble season to what happened last year, especially for the Lakers and the Heat, you saw it took its toll. Each of the 4 teams that made the conference finals all had immense injury issues as the year went on. I feel like you're going to have a team that's rejuvenated this year and playing more to the level that Thomas mentioned. Too extreme, the Bucks may be the defending champs, but in reality, this Heat team, if we stay healthy, the most feared team in the East. I think I get what you're saying. If you tell me feared team among teams that are not right there at among teams other than the Bucks, I get it. But if you were to ask the Brooklyn Nets who they'd rather see in the second round of the playoffs, the Heat or the Bucks.
Or the Bucks, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's – look, all due respect to the Heat and what they put together, the Bucks are who they are.
And again, you could – matter of fact, I was on the phone yesterday with Bobby Marks. He picked the Heat to win the championship.
Glad you mentioned that.
He thinks the Heat have the best starting lineup possibly in the NBA. Not sure if I agree, but that's his opinion. But the question is the depth. The question is that you basically have 3 reliable, proven backups in Tyler Hero, Markieff Morris, and Dwayne Dedmon, then the unknown. That works fantastically in the playoffs when you have no back-to-backs, when you get time off often between series. Again, I've said this going into the season. I will say this now, and I think I'll say it throughout the season. This is a team built more for the playoffs than for the regular season. But to position yourself in the playoffs, you have to have a good regular season. That's what I'm curious about. So I don't know if the Heat are necessarily feared. Clay, my own thought on the NBA is this. You are feared when the other team puts a single name on the marquee. Come see the Lakers and LeBron James. Come see the Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Come see the Wizards and Bradley Beal. And there's the one guy who can beat you by himself. I don't think the Heat have that player. I know Jimmy Butler had his moments in the bubble. Tyler Hero had his moments. Kyle Lowry had his moments when Toronto won. But I don't think there's any single player singularly on top of the other team's scouting board where they say, if we stop this player, we're going to win that game. It's a lot harder to do it collectively, but that's what the Heat are going to have to do this season.
So some more of the comments that Pat Riley had yesterday, and this kind of feeds into what you just said. He mentioned about Bam Adebayo that you could see him become a real scorer this year. I thought that was really interesting, and I think this is coming not just because of the work that Bam put in, but I think it goes back to what Kyle Lowry told us in his first question and answer session after he signed with the Heat. Kyle Lowry said, my job is to make Bam Adebayo think that he's Superman. And I asked Bam about that, and I asked Kyle Lowry about that. And Kyle said, I need to get him the ball in spots where he can do what he does best. That's not saying I need to make Bam think that he's Superman playing defense. I need to make Bam think that he's Superman as the point center. And how Bam answered me was, he kind of laughed, but the one thing he said that stood out to me was, I don't have to be the point guard anymore. I mean, this goes back to what we said about what Pat Riley said at the end of last year, which is at some point you can't just keep putting stuff on guys' plates because it doesn't allow them to be elite at what they do best. Just because Bam Adebayo may be the second best point guard, quote unquote, among centers in the NBA behind Nikola Jokic doesn't mean that's what makes him the best. So I think what you're going to see, and I'm really interested to watch how this plays out on Thursday night, Do you see Bam Adebayo more as a scorer than what we're used to seeing? Because it certainly seems like Pat Riley was
He'll
saying
have opportunities, and so will Jimmy, because they have the definitive playmaker who's going to set them up a little bit more. Goran Dragic has always been primarily a scorer, because in Slovenia, that's what he had to be. That was the mentality in other places. The one thing I will say about Pat Riley's comment about Bam, if you're the person who signed off on the 5-year, $174 million extension, you damn well better say this guy's a superstar. Can you imagine if you're Mickey Arison, whether he's still in the Caribbean or Mediterranean, or even watching that press conference yesterday, he goes, yeah, I think Bam's okay. He'll be good. And you're like, wait a minute. You just gave this guy $174 million. Why do you think he's good or okay, or he's a complimentary player? That's a lot of money. So, yeah, I know I said this last year when people are talking about Bam's uneven play. I said, look, folks, he's still on the last year of his rookie scale contract. So the play is certainly more than commensurate with the salary. Well, there's a pressure there right now. There's a pressure on Jimmy Butler for his extension that brings him to a $220 million total contract. There's a pressure on Kyle Lowry at 3 years at $85 million. Pat Riley signed a lot of really impressive checks in the offseason. These guys have to be good to great because they're being paid to be good to great. I know we're not supposed to equate the money with performance, but in a salary cap league, you have no other choice. Because the Heat are so top heavy with those 3 contracts, maybe even Duncan Robinson, it does put them at a little bit of a deficit with the supporting players. So if Pat Riley thinks that Bam's going to have a phenomenal or fantastic year, then I'm saying that's merely par for the course of the salary that he's earning. The Heat made that investment. Now the investment has to pay off.
All right, coming up, I want to get into another player who I think is really going to benefit from having Kyle Lowry on this roster. And then I also want to talk more about the upcoming games, plus get some more of your comments. That's right here on Inside the Paint.
You're listening to the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint Show. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a good rack? Pallet Rack City. When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Folks, you can support the hardest working sports talk show in South Florida through Cash App or Venmo. Just search Cash Big O Show. Support us through Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. We thank you for your incredible support. For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or InterMiamiWear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
When you're ready to purchase a new home loan or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee, and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today. 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com. If it's hardcore hoops you desire, make sure you subscribe to the Big O Radio Show and never miss an episode of Inside the Paint. Let's get back to the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro.
Welcome back. The home stretch here on Inside the Paint. Clay Ferrero here. Ira Winderman there. Sean Stanley keeping us on the air. Got a big day ahead, too. The Miami Heat are going to practice a little bit later on today, ahead of tomorrow night's season opener against the Milwaukee Bucks, which we've talked about a lot as this show has gone on. And, you know, we're going to get to some of your comments as we close out the show here. I mentioned before the break somebody else who I think is really going to benefit from Kyle Lowry, even if he doesn't play a lot of minutes with him, and that's Tyler Hero. And Pat Riley said yesterday that he kind of prefers if young players go out and do what they're going to do before telling everybody what they're going to do. And
Right.
I understand that perspective. And yet, you know, the world has changed a bit. And I do feel like Tyler Hero is somebody who is the rare player who thrives in those sorts of situations when he either puts pressure on himself, like he did when he decommitted from Wisconsin, ended up going to Kentucky. So, like, I think he's the type of guy that can benefit from that. You get somebody like Kyle Lowry in there, and number one, when he's on the floor with Kyle Lowry, he can focus on strictly scoring. And number two, I feel as though, much like with Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero was somebody who was asked to do a little too much last year. You asked him to be kind of that de facto point guard at times. That was not his role. It's not something that can he do it? Can he handle the ball? Sure. I still think this team is lacking a backup point guard. And
Yes.
I think that's somewhere where, you know, David Aldridge reported yesterday. Didn't report. He kind of speculated.
Yeah.
But when you're David Aldridge and you have the ties to Washington that he does, and,
Good point.
and he speculated that John Wall could end up being bought out and coming to Miami. But if you're Tyler Hero and you're going to have to play some of that de facto point guard role with that backup unit, there's so much that you can learn from watching somebody like Kyle Lowry. So, Ira, what did you make of Pat Riley's comments about Tyler Hero, and how do you see kind of the evolution of his game, not just as a scorer, but also as being able to watch somebody like a Lowry and learn from him?
You know, it's interesting. I think Pat responded more to what people were saying about Tyler than what Tyler basically did on social media. In other words, I think Pat sort of spoke about the wave that came at Tyler and told everyone, hey, sort of, you know, chill out. He can still be a player. I'm not worried about the other stuff, although maybe you want to sort of become that player first. That's what I spoke about last year when I was on another form of the show. Just saying, hey, if you're going to put yourself out there with this breakfast cereal, with the Chipotle bowl and all that, you know, and announce you're here, you better be there. And he had an uneven season, and he sort of paid for that with a degree of criticism. But I still have the concern with the lack of a point guard for this reason. Tyler did more handling than I thought he would in the preseason. He actually did it very well. He surprised me. So I backed off my question marks about whether he could be a playmaker. But I still don't think that's his primary role. Right now it looks like the Heat are going to try to stagger, that they're going to take Kyle Lowry out early. Jimmy Butler will take care of the handling. Then Jimmy will go out. Kyle will come back at the end of the first quarter. He'll handle and be one of the two. But there will be injuries. There might be COVID. There could be foul trouble. And it does seem like Tyler Hero right now is slotted in as the next ball handler. I really think that it's not by coincidence Pat mentioned Bam Adebayo not being as much of a playmaker. I believe it's organizational. That, again, like I spoke in the previous segment here on Pallet Rack City's Inside the Paint, that when you give the kind of money to Bam, you need him to be more of a center. You need him to be more of a scorer. You want him to do that. So they've taken that off his plate. Again, if they had another point guard, as a matter of fact, I spoke to Gabe Vincent about his role. And a lot of people have mentioned this. John Crotty mentioned this. Gabe has been a much better shooter off the ball. You get different shots when you're off the ball. He was a great shooter in the G League. He was a really good shooter in college. But now he's taking shots as the playmaker. And he told me, what I like is that when I'm in the game with Tyler, he can handle as well. Mm-hmm. So again, even your backup point guard is saying that Tyler's going to do some handling. I really wish they had another point guard. You know, I mentioned their situation against the salary cap when I mentioned the luxury tax today, and I asked Pat Riley about that. They can't afford another player now unless they make another trade or another move. I'd like to have one more point guard here because there will be games. Clay, matter of fact, I'm going to throw this back at you. Kyle Lowry is out for game X. Let's even say next week. They have a back-to-back. They play Charlotte at home on Friday. They're at Memphis on Saturday. Got a bunch of travel involved there. And let's say Eric Spoelstra says, you know what? Not going to push it with my 35-year-old point guard. He's going to sit out. I don't need him going against Ja Morant. Who are you starting at point guard? Who are you moving into the starting lineup? That's the question. And if you move Tyler in there, he still is more of a ball handler. And that's going to happen. I think it could happen. We'll get to next week's games after next Wednesday's show. But I do even think that first back-to-back is going to be a little bit of a litmus test. I think we're going to look, okay, there's not a lot of back-to-backs this year. I think the Heat only have 9 that involve travel. There's a back-to-back in LA against the 2 LA teams. There's a bunch of home back-to-backs where they don't travel. But that is a travel back-to-back. And you have a game against Dallas after that. So if you do load manage, rest, whatever you want to call it on a player, all of a sudden Tyler's being asked to do more. Just like we said in the previous segment with Bam. When you add more to a player's plate, they can't be great in specific area A, B, and C because they're also having to deal with X, Y, and Z. It's an imperfect roster right now.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes.
And I think that's the issue when you try to make Bam Adebayo do too much. And that's why I don't think it's a coincidence that Pat Riley mentioned scoring specifically with him. And the thing with Tyler, and you ask who would be the de facto point guard if Kyle Lowry would go. So I think it may be Gabe Vincent, and he wouldn't handle the ball as much. I think, unfortunately, you would probably have to have Jimmy Butler go back to some of the primary playmaking role.
Take away something of him. We spoke about just Bam gets more offense. Jimmy can look at the rim a little bit more. So, again, it's an imperfect roster. I still don't know how I understand how they got in this position with the luxury tax. And while I wasn't baiting Pat Riley, I do understand with the repeater tax, Clay. I mean, you can understand this. You now have the huge contracts of Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, and Jimmy Butler, a reasonably large contract of Duncan Robinson. This offseason, you were going to add one more huge contract. Either Victor Oladipo comes back and is great, boom, $30 million, or Tyler Hero is great this season, boom, $170 million extension. You're going to have 5 huge contracts. Mm-hmm. You're going to be in the luxury tax. You're going to be on the repeater clock next season, so I can understand not this season. But I wish the roster was different for this reason. Again, this is something we've mentioned before. 14 standard players, standard contracts on the roster, 1 short of the NBA maximum. But Udonis Haslem doesn't play. For the start of the season, Victor Oladipo won't play. You can make an argument whether KZ Okpala can play. So you basically have only 11 components of that standard roster who are playing. I think the Heat are making it hard on themselves. I understand the luxury tax. I wrote about it at sunsentinel.com today and in the paper in your doorstep. But still, I can understand why they're doing it against the tax, but it does make it harder.
Quick hello to Dougie Fresh, Rich, Andreas, Ron, Omar. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see. Thomas, really looking forward to how Spoelstra figures out the rotations. Ronnie, and I like this. In the past, the Heat had skilled big men on their way to previous championships like Shaq and Chris Bosh. Does Bam need to play at that level for a championship run? Yes. Yes, he has to. And I think, that's what they're banking on, and that's why you pay him. Yes. To your point about the luxury tax, I think the thing that Riley kind of alluded to yesterday, and we've seen with Heat teams of the past, is if we feel like we have a legitimate championship team, not just a team that can challenge, but a championship team, they are willing to do whatever is necessary. I feel like if you get to a certain point in this season and you're looking at how this is playing out and you're seeing a dynamic, dangerous team when they're fully healthy, but a team that takes a step back, when you have to rest a Kyle Lowry, that's when I think you may make a move and you may say, you know what? Forget it. If John Wall comes available on the buyout market, I love the fit of a John Wall as a backup.
And they'll have more money, Clay, under the tax later when it's only a prorated portion.
Point.
Like right now, they're $400,000 under the tax. That could change a little bit. But $400,000 under the tax on a minimum scale salary, you could probably at least the final third of the season add another player without any other moves and stay under the tax, which is perfect because the buyout deadline is March 1st. And Houston really has very little incentive to buy out John Wall ahead of time when there's an outside chance they could use him in a trade to balance a trade. So you're probably talking later rather than sooner with that kind of addition anyway.
So the final few minutes of this show, let's get to the games coming up this week. We already talked about the Bucks game a lot. I just think the dynamic of that game changes if Drew Holiday does not play. He had the heel contusion last night. My guess is, Ira, they won't chance that this early in the season. I mean, I'm no doctor, but I'm going to play one on Inside the Paint.
I agree.
I can't imagine that they're going to chance that. Then they have to go to Indiana. And this is a game that I think is going to be a really nice litmus test for some of the new additions, especially in the front court. And by new additions, I'm not just talking about PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris, but Yeah, hey, I want to see how Bam Adebayo with the added bulk. How do these guys do against that front line?
Miles Turner,
Domantas
Sabonis.
And no Karis LeVert for Indiana.
Or TJ Warren.
And TJ Warren's out as well. So
he's working his way back. Here's the thing about Indiana. And again, you talk about when you get a team and how beneficial it is versus late. Just like we didn't know Kyrie was going to be out the whole season, but we knew he wasn't going to be playing in Brooklyn. I think Indiana is severely underrated for this reason. If I told you I had a team with a starting lineup of Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis, TJ Warren, Karis LeVert, and Malcolm Brogdon, that's a really good starting lineup.
It is.
And yet people either have Indiana in the play-in group or out of the playoffs in the East. I think people are sleeping on Indiana. Plus, you have the coaching of Rick Carlisle, which one he's a quality coach anyway, but two, the new coach thing usually motivates a team to step forward a little bit more. So I'm glad they're getting Indiana earlier rather than later. I think that could make a difference. I think Indiana's going to be really good. I think Indiana is going to be an overachiever in the Eastern Conference. I sort of don't know and don't get it. I think Indiana's better than New York. The starting lineup I just gave you.
I agree.
Of LeVert and Warren and Sabonis and Turner and Brogdon, I think is better than any first five the Knicks can throw out there. So I think people are sleeping on Indiana. It'll be a road game. Obviously, there'll be the early season home crowd in Indiana. So it'll be interesting. Temperatures in the 40s. The Heat will have to deal with the first sort of cold weather trip already. So again, another reason you want to get that Milwaukee game at home to give yourself sort of a little bit of time there to work into your road schedule.
And it will be the second night of a back-to-back for Indiana, so maybe that ends up helping you out. But I'm glad you made that point about the Knicks. I feel like the Knicks showed us who they were in the postseason last year. I feel like that's a team that is a try-hard team, and yet when push comes to shove, the talent level is not quite there. Now, maybe a healthy Kemba Walker changes that, but we'll see.
Sure.
And then the final game that we're gonna have before we see you guys again here on Inside the Paint, just chalk it up as a loss because they're playing the Orlando Magic.
No, but there's no Fournier. But think about it. There's no Fournier. There's no Vucevic.
And no Vuce.
The reason the Heat always lost to basically lottery Orlando teams is Nikola Vucevic. I mean, we're going back to the Hassan Whiteside days. Would put up a 30-18 against the Heat always.
Oh,
he was a terror. And if he wasn't, it was that damn Fournier would hit some sort of late shot, and kill the Heat with that whole ponytail look of his. They're gone. Completely different Orlando team. Clay, I wanted to say this, especially looking at the Orlando game, not specifically about Orlando. I think the East is very, very deep this season. I think the Heat is deep 1 through, honestly, 12. I think there are 3 teams in the East, Orlando, Detroit, and Cleveland, that are in no way playoff contenders. You cannot lose to them.
Yes.
This is what always marred the Heat, whether it was Detroit, lost to Detroit last year, the loss to Orlando. You can't have those in your ledger. Every other game, and I'm including Washington and Chicago in there, are going to be tough this season. You can't let these slip away. Any loss this season for the Miami Heat to Orlando, Cleveland, or Detroit is inexcusable. And that starts on Monday. So I don't want to see any Heat players bringing in excuse notes on Tuesday to practice of why they lost to the Orlando Magic. You can't have it. This is going to be standings at the end of the year, just like last year, where I believe a single game could determine a seeding. If the Heat had one more win last season, especially against the Hawks, they could have been the number 4 seed, home court in the first round, not playing Milwaukee.
By the way, a Hawks team that was massively depleted. I mean, that game was the most maddening of the entire season. But no, to your point, got to win those games, and that's why I think somebody like Kyle Lowry is going to make such a big difference. You got that guy going out there yelling at referees against Charlotte in the preseason. You can't tell me that he's not going to bring that type of intensity even against Orlando in the regular season. All right, speaking of intensity, Ira always brings it every Wednesday. I do the best to bring it as well. But, hey, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Thanks so much for the comments. We're going to get to more of them next week as well. So, hey, enjoy the basketball. It tips off tomorrow night.
We'll talk about real games next week.
All right, guys, thanks for hanging out here on Inside the Paint.
You've been listening to the Pallet Raxi Inside the Paint program with Ira Winterman and Clay Ferraro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Search Big O Radio Show on most platforms. Subscribe and smash the like button to support Inside the Paint. If you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business, there's only one choice: Pallet Rack City.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show. Judge, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Welcome back. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Nice job by the boys. Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro doing Inside the Paint. Man, it is a good day today. I'm watching Bitcoin cross 65,000. Now it's on its way to 66,000. And right now, baby, Ethereum just crossed the 4,000 mark. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, yeah. Love it. Love it. Man, this whole thing is going to explode. Good day today. Good day today. All I need is for my Dolphins to get back to playing well, dude. Please. Come on, man. Can I get that? Just that, please? Can I get the Dolphins back one day? Huh? Please? Anyway, welcome back. Time to have some fun. Hope you all are doing well out there. I wish I had more Ethereum. Yes, we all do, right? I mean, once you see it go up, it's like one of those deals, right? I mean, it just, that's anything, okay? Anything. I got a nice bag of V-Chain, right? And I've been waiting very patiently for V-Chain to make its move. And I know it's going to make its move. So I'm super confident, kind of like Cardano, the same thing. Cardano, you had to wait, and then it started making its move. But it's always funny that whenever you're investing, whether it's stocks or crypto or whatever it is, you're at a horse race. It doesn't matter. You're at a blackjack table. When you double or whatever, you thought you should have played more for that hand. You should have bet more on that horse. You should have put more into that coin. You should have put more into that stock, because then you see it explode. You know what I mean? So it's just funny, man. But it's nice to see it all bounce back. And because remember, Ethereum did get to 4,000 before, and then there was the market correction. And I always love the people that really don't follow this stuff, and they panic, and then they say, "Oh, it's fake," and this and that, and then you don't really understand what's going on. And actually, corrections are healthy. Kind of like with Shib. Shib was at a point where it was at 0.000006 or 7 or 8, around there. Five zeros after the decimal, and then the first number. Now it's been 4 zeros, and it's at 27, 28, 30, 32. And it's been like that now for about a week and a half. And that's really good because it went up and then it found a floor and it stayed there. And it'll start to make another move up. But you always want it to find a floor. What you never want, actually, believe it or not, as sweet as it sounds, you don't want it completely going parabolic like that. If it does, then get the hell out at one point in the rise and get some profits out, because there's going to be a correction every single time. Every single time, pretty much. It doesn't matter what it is. Could be even Bitcoin. Like if Bitcoin soars right now to like 75,000, you don't buy it at 75. You wait, probably drops back down to like 70, 68. Then you buy it, and then it'll continue its climb back up again. You wait till it finds a floor. And once it finds a floor, then it's a comfort zone that you can actually enter. That's how you play the game. But you never buy anything on a parabolic move. Okay? So anyway, good stuff there. Appreciate all of you out there. And it's funny, those of you that signed up on the OK Coin thing and invested in Miami Coin and staked it, and those of you that followed my link, you got free Bitcoin. Did you notice that your Bitcoin already went up in value? You got free Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin went up in value. It's awesome. Isn't that great? I mean, you got to love that, man. It's fantastic. Anyway, so welcome aboard, folks. Thanks to all of you out there joining us as always. Great day, man, because, Panthers won last night 4-1. I'm pretty sure Inter Miami will fail me tonight, even though they're playing a team that's actually worse than them in Toronto. I believe Toronto is 13th in the table and Miami is 11th. I think it is, if I remember correctly. Inter Miami is actually favored. Can you believe that, Sean? Inter Miami's favored tonight by half a goal. There's no way I'm betting it. What are you going to say, Sean?
Somebody's been drinking.
Yeah. Although Toronto's bad. So it's two bad teams playing each other, but that's just so dangerous, dude. So dangerous.
So what do we have? 1 goal in the last
16-1 in the last 6 games. Yes. We've been outscored 16-1. Yeah. We can't score with a fistful of dollars in a whorehouse. I mean, that's just it's terrible, man. It's a terrible roster. This is why I don't pick on Phil Neville. The fact that Phil Neville went on that run that he went on was absolutely phenomenal with that talent, or lack thereof. But yeah, so I know while the Panthers got me, up, Inter will bring me down today. But that's all right. The Panthers will be back tomorrow. They'll take on Colorado. But you know what happens tomorrow? You know what sucks about tomorrow? We got the Heat and the Bucks tomorrow night, and then we got the Panthers and Colorado tomorrow night. And it's like, come on, dude, why do you got to do that to me? I hate that. I hate when they're both playing at the same time. And especially this is the best time of the sports year for us, because the Heat and the Panthers are our best teams in town. I should say Panthers and Heat, because the Panthers are the best team in town, and then the Heat. Panthers and Heat are the best teams. This is our savior right here, man. This is where we actually all right, we can actually enjoy ourselves now and kind of, get our Dolphin frustrations out, our Hurricanes frustrations out, our Inter Miami frustrations out, our Miami Marlins frustrations are out. And by the way, now that the Hot Stove League comes up here soon, in a couple months, I hope the Marlins really are active, okay?
Don't hire Kim Eng and hire her to fail and set her up to fail by not giving her a checkbook. Give that woman a checkbook so she can do her job, and hopefully she can do a great job for us and put out a team that can compete, man. I'm dying to have a really good baseball team so I can get down there, just go with the wife, sit in the stands, hang out. I'm not that interested in being in the press box or anything like that. It has nothing to do with. I'd rather actually just go sit down and enjoy a baseball game with the wife, and me and her just BS, talk, whatever, and watch the game and have some fun, or go with a buddy of mine or two or three or four of them, and we're bullshitting for 9 innings and having some fun and watching a baseball game. So that's what I love about baseball. It's such a great game to interact with friends and family members. It's the one game that really allows you to, while you're watching, have some kind of bonding going on. The other games are so quick and intense that you bond and scores and that real quick because everything's going on so fast. But in baseball, it's kind of a relaxed atmosphere, and you get an opportunity to really enjoy your company and the game at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm dying to get to that point where you can go to the ballpark and, feel good about the baseball team. And it's so hard to want to feel good about the Dolphins and feel good about the Canes and feel good about the Marlins and feel good about Inter Miami. Man, that's I don't think I'm asking for too much. Pat Riley addressed the meteors yesterday and addressed a couple of different topics. By the way, if you missed the Pat Riley press conference, Sean Stanley has done an exceptional job, like he always does every day here on the show, on the audio and the video side. And the executive producer put out several videos of Pat Riley, all kinds of sound bites addressing all kinds of different Heat issues. So if you missed it and you want to get some of the best sound bites from that press conference, all you have to do is go there to our YouTube page at Big O Radio Show. And don't forget, you can catch the Dolphin players there, the coach, anything, any team that talks, Inter Miami, the Marlins, if they ever have any press conferences, anything that goes on, we are putting it up there. Hockey, you name it, you're going to be able to get it here on our YouTube page. So not only will you get our show and the interviews and some of my rants and all that kind of good stuff, but Sean does an awesome job of putting together all kinds of other stuff so you guys can keep up with a lot of the things that are going on in the world of sports here locally. So if you want to catch up with any of that, make sure you go to our YouTube page, subscribe, but please smash the hell out of the like button. It is incredibly important, those of you right now that are watching, to hit that like button, because that will get the algorithms going and our show will be posted more out there for people that are searching for Heat stuff, Panther stuff, Dolphins, Canes, Inter Miami, you name it, Florida Panthers, all of that. We will have it here for you. So we want to get that going and get that algorithm going so people will find it out. And thank you to all out there for smashing the like button, for sharing the link, for telling others, okay? Because that's the reason why it's grown so fast, because you guys are helping us in growing. And don't forget, this Sunday, Sean and I will be out at Sports Grill once again. The Dolphin season isn't over, man. We got it's hashtag Finn's loyalty. All right, let's go. I want that hashtag growing and exploding. Hashtag Finn's loyalty. We will be there on Sunday. We will be there to cheer on the Dolphins. We will be there to talk Dolphins. Good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. We're going to be there. So if you're a hardcore Dolphins fan, please come on down to Miami Lakes. Sports Grill in Miami Lakes, right off of the Palmetto on 154th. We're right on the west side of the Palmetto. Really, really simple to find, and it's a great place. You can enjoy the wings, all of that good stuff, the burgers. You name it, man. It's a great menu, and Sean and I will be out there starting at 11 a.m. We will have the pregame show for you. Kickoff, obviously, at 1 o'clock, and then we'll have the postgame show for you. Hopefully, we'll have a happy postgame show. Hopefully, it'll be 2 really good games in a row for Tua. Hopefully, it's a win, and we can feel a little better about the football team. It would be nice. So let's hope so. So if you got an opportunity, we packed the house this past week for the Jags game, and thank you all out there, man. God, you were all fantastic for showing up and packing it in, and we had a great breakfast and everything else. So please come on out this Sunday to Sports Grill in Miami Lakes, man. Come on out. Let's have some fun. Let's be together. Let's, talk Dolphins. Sean and I are there throughout the whole game. So we can talk Dolphins, whatever, all that stuff. Take pictures, which is what we did a lot of last week, where we took pictures with a lot of folks out there. So really would love to meet you and hang out with you over at Sports Grill in Miami Lakes. And I believe we're there for these are the last three games, right, Sean? 1 and 5. No, 2 more games. Am I correct, Sean? Right? 2 more games. Right. So it's this week and next week, and then we move to Bird Road. So we'll be at Bird and 114th in 3 weeks. So we've got 2 more shows left at Miami Lakes. I can't believe that already half the season's gone by, and that's the painful part, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Because it's such a long off season. And you go through the free agency, you go through the draft, you go through the mini camps, you go through training camp and the preseason, and we look forward to these 17 games like gold, and they go by so quickly. And then we've got to start the cycle again. But it's one of those cycles that you try to build yourself back up again to try to hope for a better season. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's a vicious cycle that we've been in every year, So it would be nice to go through the cycle and get the kind of payoff that we've gotten with the Heat for so many years. And now it looks like we're about to get that payoff with the Florida Panthers also. I think the Panthers are getting ready to turn that corner. Man, if the goaltending is legit, they got every shot at competing with anybody in the NHL. That's the scary part about the Panthers. Like the Heat, you need things to fall into place for you to be in the NBA Finals or even challenge for that title. You need some things to fall into place. Certain things have to happen. If everybody's healthy, you're probably not going to get there. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to the Panthers, it has nothing to do with any kind of break, any health thing, nothing at all. It's one position. The goalie is up to snuff. You can make a run and win it all, period. Panthers have one of the best offenses in all of the NHL. They improved their defense. They improved their special teams. Man, things are going to be scary. Big time scary. Andres Orozco says, good morning, O. Super impressed with the 3-0 start by the Cats. 14 goals so far and beating the champs at Tampa. This team is for real and dominating early. Our D's, forwards, goalie, and management. Hell yeah, man. And it's beating the Penguins, the Islanders, and the Lightning. I mean, they're not effing around, dude. That's strong. That's a strong-ass start. And Colorado's pretty good, too. You got them next. This is a lot of fun to watch what's going on. Super V says, good morning, Big O. I started checking out the Panthers last year in the playoffs, and I became a true hockey fan at that moment. I said to myself, all they need is a great goalie. Yep, that's it. Let's see. Finn's season was over after the final preseason game. Yeah, it's kind of the way it looks. Tremolio, there we go. The ray of sunshine that is Tremolio. Atlanta 33, Miami 12. Big O, how did you feel the interior offensive line played as far as pass protection for Tua? I thought the line was all right. he wasn't running for his life. Now, Tua stole the page from Marino. Relax. I'm not comparing Tua to Marino. What I'm saying is Tua helped the hell out of his line because Tua has got smashed ribs. And he's like, F this, dude. I'm going to find somebody quickly. And that's what I love what he did. He doesn't have time to sit back there 3.5 seconds and wait for somebody to get downfield. He'll be dead in the water. He'll be dead in the ground, buried 6 feet. And he knows it. And I'm sure that the offensive coordinator, the QB coach, sat down with him throughout the week. Quick decisions. Now, he can do that. Brissett can't, but he can do that. And he's a quick twitch guy. He's got a quick delivery, all of that kind of stuff. I know he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world and all that. And for you arm queens or size queens and all that you think that that's what makes the perfect quarterback, and it doesn't. It's release, it's accuracy, it's understanding, it's ball placement, all of those. He has all of the things you need to be one hell of a quarterback in this league, but he needs help. But he's smart enough to know and learn that, okay, this is a screwed up situation I'm behind. I'm not behind the Alabama line anymore. I can't sit back there and smoke a cigar, not a cigarette, a cigar, and find somebody. So I've got to make quick decisions. So, yes, the offensive line gave him time, but I'm also going to credit Tua for assisting the line and making them look better. And that's what I mean by he took a page out of Marino. Yeah, we know Richmond Webb and Keith Sims and those guys were awesome. But the whole line wasn't dominant. Now, Marino rarely got sacked because, yeah, Sims and Webb were damn good. They were great linemen for the Dolphins. But Marino also helped out everyone on that line, including the running back or the tight end if they had to stay to block, because he got rid of it quickly. He didn't waste any freaking time. And that's what I loved about what Tua did this past week. He said, F this, dude. I'm not getting injured again. I'm going to get rid of the ball with a quickness. So half the answer is the line did a half decent job, but the other half is Tua was exceptional and understanding what he's playing behind and did not screw around. And I know, I get it. We get frustrated. We want him to go deeper and all that, but you can't, man. You just can't. You're not going to get a lot of those opportunities. Now, what I would like to do and see is maybe some boots and waggles where you can buy yourself some time, where you throw the defensive line off a little bit and you buy yourself an extra second to get somebody downfield. Maybe you can do something along those lines with Tua. I would like to see that every once in a while, but I do understand that you cannot sit back there and wait for a longer developing play because those guys have not developed themselves. But half and half. I'll give the line some credit, but I'm also going to give Tua a bunch of credit, man. He was so good. Big O joining you at Sports Grill one of these days for breakfast. LOL. Let's run it. Talk sports and music. Well, remember, there will be the breakfast was a one-time shot. Okay. That won't be, so I don't want to mislead you now. So the breakfast was only because we came so early, but they're not doing that every week. It's normal menu from there on out. But please, I encourage you, man, come on down. Anthony, please, always join us down there at Sports Grill. We'd love to see all of you out there. NorCal is in. David says, appears there have been no ramifications to this awful loss to Jacksonville after the Colts loss. Grant was traded for a bag of beans due to his fumble this week. Nada. How can a message be sent? I mean, okay, let me ask you something. Did it work? They lost, dude. They lost to Stanky Fingers. So it didn't really matter who you cut. It didn't send any message. you are what you are. And if your coaches aren't good enough, which right now your coaches aren't good enough, that's a problem. And I don't care what anybody tells me, dude. The coaching is what's failing this team more than anything else. They are doing a piss poor job of preparing this team and getting the max out of these guys. I'm sorry. I'm not, it can't be all these players are terrible. No, I'm sorry. I'm watching seasoned, proven veterans also struggle and not do anything with this team. No. So this whole thing about sending a message and all that matters if you can actually do something from it. But they traded Grant and it meant nothing whatsoever. You know what it meant? That the Bears got themselves a better returner now. That's what it meant. All we did was improve the Bears. Why? To send the message. I'm telling you, I want to know if Flo is creating the kind of atmosphere that guys want to be a part of. That's something that I really, I have an issue with this. The play-in has become a blessing and a curse for fans. You're happy your team is in the playoffs, but watching those games are stressful. You're right, Ronnie. You're right. But it's fun, man. It's good stress. It's better than not being in. You're frustrated. Let's see. What else do we have here on the text line coming in? After Tua's last game, I am excited to see what he does against the Falcons. Tua was making his reads at the snap and getting rid of the ball fast when needed. He played well, man. He's certainly not the problem. It's the crap that's around him that's the problem. It's the garbage coaching staff that's around him. Unfortunately, you got a bunch of rookies as coaches, and they are the not ready for prime time players, basically. Merman says Najee Harris would have gotten that 4th and 1. Maybe not. When you got no line, you've got to be like Barry Sanders and Ricky Williams to really make that line better. I'm not sure he's those guys. Sebastian Alvarez says, I really like what I see out of the new center. When Dieter comes back, would you move one of them to guard and kick Davis to the bench to be that 6th man? Sebastian, I don't know yet, man. It's only been a couple of games. Let's watch him coming up against some of the other teams. The Bills are coming up and things like that, and then we'll get a better feel for it. But 2 games is not enough for me. Now, Greg Mance, I think that's how it's pronounced. He hasn't done a bad job. Okay? He hasn't done a bad job. Big O, do the Dolphins need major help at linebacker? I noticed the top defensive teams have playmakers at that position. Marco, right now, they definitely don't have a stud linebacker that can really change the game. Now, they're hoping that Jalen Phillips can turn into a guy like that because they're playing him at linebacker. But it's depressing to see how Jerome Baker has taken a step back. But that's my point with the coaching staff. It's veterans and it's young players that are failing. Why? And that's where I got to question the coaching. I grew up in Hialeah in the 60s and 70s, first part of the 80s, and saw great quarterbacks like Greasy, Morrill, Strock. Woodley's not a great quarterback, sir. So you lost me there. And the great Dan Marino. Would love to see Tua get there too. Agree. Just and Strock was a great backup. He wasn't a great player. It's a great backup. You have to put in the context. And Woodley was a running quarterback that was a very mediocre passer. So there was nothing great about Woodley. Rest in peace. I hate it when people have passed away and then you got to really talk about how, what they were. And, I don't mean any disrespect to Woodley because he's passed away, but he wasn't a very good quarterback, sir. So let's not put the label of great next to him or Strzok. Strzok could have been a great teammate. He was a great backup quarterback, but he might have been average at best as a starter. He should have got. I would have liked to have seen the Stroker go younger to Cleveland when he went to get that opportunity, because he really deserved to get at least an opportunity to start. But great is not the word that I would use to describe those guys. Dolphins should have taken a shot at Jalen Smith. Thoughts? Something's going on with that knee, dude. I don't know. And I'm not picking up that salary. So why did Flo cut Van Noy and McKinney? You'll have to ask him. But he clearly felt that other guys were ready to take over, because if he doesn't, he wouldn't have cut those guys. So he must have felt that they were ready to go. Xavier Howard trade rumors. I have not heard anything yet, sir. But I have no problem trading him, to be quite honest. All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to switch gears here. We've been talking a little basketball. We've been talking a little football. Let's talk a little football, as Inter Miami is going to take center stage tonight. They will take on Toronto at Drive Pink Stadium. Franco Panizo, who covers Inter Miami for Miami Total Football, joins us next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
All right, we are back. There we go. Ready to talk a little football, my man, Franco Panizo. Although, Franco, I'm going to get you another Marlins hat.
This is just my casual day-to-day hat. I actually just got a haircut.
It reminds me of Loria, and that's my problem with it, bro. I can't stand Loria. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that it bothers me. So I'm gonna make it my homework to get you a new Marlins hat.
Okay.
With the new logo, so that way you're sporting at least the fresh, because that Maroon 5 logo is just.
Hey, I'd rock the old school one too, the Florida Marlins one. The old.
Well, that's fine. You can
F for
rock
Franco,
that.
I'd rock that. I would rock that.
You can rock that one, but this one, oh god, just reminds me of Loria, and Loria is just something that I don't want to be reminded of. Just like I don't want to be reminded that my soccer team has been outscored 16-1 in the last 6 games. These guys couldn't score with a fistful of dollars in a whorehouse. All right. So if we sent these guys to Nevada and they'd have walk in a brothel with a bunch of money, none of them would get laid. I mean, this is scary stuff right now going on. What the hell's going on with this scoring drought, dude?
There's a lot of things to dissect, probably longer than we have time for here, but just to touch on a few things. The team is a limited team, physically not a very good team. Who's the fastest player on this team? Lewis Morgan, Robbie Robinson, probably. So not a whole lot of speed.
I know who the slowest player is, the most expensive player, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. So it's physically limited, and then the tactics haven't helped from Phil Neville. He's emphasized playing or being defensive minded or taking care of the defense first, and then trying to pick and choose the moments to attack and try to pluck something at the other end. And the team's just not efficient enough when it does attack to put the ball in the back of the net. And it also just doesn't create enough.
But you don't blame them for that, right? Because they
blame who? Phil Neville?
They can't play the possession game. So they have to play this defensive type of game and then hope that they can counter every once in a blue moon. Dude, they can't possess the ball.
I don't agree with that.
They don't. Really? You think they have the midfield to possess?
I don't think that it necessarily have to be a possession-based team, but you can be a more attack-minded team and not have to necessarily be
But dude,
possession-based.
how do you attack when you don't have attackers?
You can press high, you can be direct. There's different ways to go about it. There's not just like ways to play football. And look, for me, especially during this recent run, I'm not talking about the whole season because in different moments, I understand playing five at the back. I understand trying to stay competitive, and I get that. But as of late, given the situation Inter Miami's been in, they've been needing to win games. And to win games, you need to score goals. And to score goals, you need to take chances. And how do you get chances? Well, you got to throw numbers forward. And they haven't done that. And the worst part for me is that they haven't had the personnel at the back, whether it's because of health, whether it's because of availability due to international calls. They haven't had the availability as of late or the personnel as of late to play that five-man defense. Yet they've continued to trot out the five-man back line, and then they've struggled. They've struggled not only in the attack, but also on the defensive side. And look, Kelvin Leerdam, whatever your opinion is of him as a player, he's been played out of position for much of this recent stretch, and he has been at fault for several goals. And you could point the finger and say, well, Kelvin Leerdam's not a very good player. Well, he's playing out of position. So it's like taking Nick Marsman out of goal and putting him at right wing and expecting him to do a good job. If you're playing out of position, you're not playing to your strengths. And that to me is on Phil Neville. That's to me on Phil Neville because he saw the five-man backline. It worked earlier in the year, and maybe there's some cloudiness or some rigidness there that has not moved away from it and has stuck with it, but it has not given him results as of late. But yet he has continued to go with it. He has continued to use Kelvin Leerdam at the back. It's led to more goals against. And I don't blame Kelvin Leerdam. He's doing the job he can do out of position. That is on Phil Neville to either put someone else there at the back, and if he doesn't have anybody else, then stop forcing square pegs into round holes, change the formation, go 4-2-3-1, which is what we saw at the very end of this last game against the Columbus Crew in the last 7-8 minutes, right before the own goal happened, the fourth goal. Phil Neville changed the formation to the 4-2-3-1. Lewis Morgan was playing more advanced as a winger, his traditional or more customary position. He looked like a much energized, energetic player. He looked like a player that was trying to prove something, like, hey, keep me here. So I would not be surprised at all if tonight you see Inter Miami in that 4-2-3-1 formation, because at this point, they're practically all but eliminated. I mean, it would take it would take 2 miracles, 3 miracles. So I think if you're going to go out, give your fans something to be excited about and happy about. If you lose, you lose. If you give up goals, you give up goals. But maybe you can at least excite and generate some happiness with at least some chances, maybe a goal, something. Because this bland, dull, boring style of soccer that has also proven ineffective as of late, it's not cutting it.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't been thinking of playoffs for weeks now. I mean, this doesn't look like a playoffs team. Now, let me get into 2 really controversial issues that I want to talk to you about. One is Robbie Robinson. You know, he had that stint where he left the team his first year. I saw him go, obviously went to Peru and
Chile,
I'm sorry, and my man, I mean, he ran and hid like right away. He didn't, I've watched him have moments where he has, like this past week, where he completely lost it right around the box. I hate to use this word, but I see the kid and I see a guy that is still soft, a guy that is still really young, that I have not seen mature and grown into a man yet out on the pitch. What is it with Robbie? What do you see with him? Because here's a guy that I think can get easily intimidated. And in a way, it's almost like I've felt like in the first 2 years, he's a kid that easily folds the tent. And so I'm just wondering, I see a soft player. What do you see with Robbie? And the scary part is he's the most talented player by miles on that team. He's the only guy that could actually scare a defense if he actually played up to his ability. So there is something there. I can see it, but it's still raw. And if he's scared, I don't know if it will ever come out.
So I would disagree with you in saying that he is one of the most talented players on this team because I don't see it. I don't see a lot of talent there. I see a lot of physical qualities, his speed and his aggressiveness to go at players when he's got space, when he has the ball. But I don't see a player that's technically gifted. And
no, he's a baby still. Yeah, no, he's technically
no, but technically,
talk about raw abilities that he
but
has.
but the technical qualities more or less throughout your career. You have a certain starting point. It's not going to get that much better throughout your career, no matter how much you work on it. That's something you develop at a very young age. So I don't think he's going to get that much better technically throughout his career. So
Gotcha.
I think he's very limited technically. I think he also doesn't have a left foot, which also is part of the technique. So he predominantly can only use his right foot. I would say and I don't know Robbie Robinson, personally, other than the interactions we've had with him when we've had interviews. He does seem like a introverted young person, young player.
I hate to say it, but he looks like he's still a mama's boy.
So he seems introverted to me. He seems very introverted.
Yes.
And to me, obviously you have different personalities, different people in locker rooms, but there are players, there are people that command the locker rooms, that have a commanding presence. And Robbie Robinson does not have that. Maybe that is holding him back. Maybe he needs to let loose a little bit, let himself be freer or feel more comfortable or find more confidence. I don't know how he goes about doing that. I don't know how the coaching staff goes about working on that with him, but I do think that there is something that's not letting him fully show what he does have.
He's had several brain farts around the box this year. Like,
well, I think some of those. I think this last week's I would chalk up to maybe confidence as in addition to maybe the lack of technical qualities, but other ones throughout the course of the season, to me, they have more to do with his lack of technical skills than they do with the confidence. I do think this last one where he just bundled over the ball in a clear one-on-one opportunity, didn't even get a shot off on the look, which is, it's terrible. It's terrible. And it's unfortunate for Inter Miami. It's unfortunate for him, but it's the reality. Even Ray Hudson, who is usually very complimentary, as you know, you've worked with him side by side. He's usually very complimentary on the TV broadcast for CBS. He even said that's nowhere near close enough for any level of a professional player, something along those lines. And that sounds harsh, but it's the reality. On that play, you have to get the shot off. You have to get the shot off. Yeah. If you miss, if you shoot it high, if the goalkeeper makes the save, it's not great. It's not great. You'd be criticized that if you were any player in any league because it's one-on-one opportunity, but it's still a soccer movement. It's a soccer play. You can live with that, or maybe not live with that, but at least it's more acceptable than not even getting a shot off. That's just unacceptable. But I think it's a testament to the low confidence he has right now. I asked Phil Neville this week if that call up to Chile has impacted his confidence over the course of this last couple months, because the dip in performance levels have coincided with his departure to Chile and then his early return that led to a lot of controversy. If you look at his Instagram page now, he had made a post, saying thank you to Chile for the opportunity, and that, and he got a lot of comments in that moment and got, ripped by Chilean fans. And he initially muted his comment section for a period of time, maybe a week or so upon that happening. He has now returned to having comments on his Instagram, but he has removed that picture. That picture is no longer on his Instagram account. So I think different things have impacted him. I think he's low on confidence. And Phil Neville did say that Robbie Robinson, because he's a young player, he's very aware. He's very aware of his goals, and he needs to score goals. And he maybe thinks about that too much, as opposed to having the killer instinct and being like, all right, well, if I didn't get this one, I'll get the next one. And maybe that's weighing on him as well. I do think there's something there that's holding him back. I just don't know what it is.
He needs, you know what he needs? He needs Tyler Hero swag. If he had Tyler Hero swag, then he would be successful. If he had Jazz Chisholm swag, he would be successful. You know what I'm saying?
Well, look,
that kid has zero swag. He is a mama's boy.
Well, I'll add this because to be fair to Robbie Robinson, and this doesn't exempt him from this last week's miss, or not even a miss. It wasn't a miss because he didn't take the shot off. This last stretch of games, and this is another example similar to the one I just used about Kelvin Leerdam, is an example for me of how Phil Neville is not doing a good enough job. Because Robbie Robinson does not have the qualities, and he does not have the performance levels to play up top as a striker, as a number 9. Yet Phil Neville has used them over the last 4 games there, repeatedly, despite Robbie Robinson not generating much of anything. I think he has 3 shots, 0 on target, and 0 goals as a number 9.
So what would you do? You would put Higuain there?
Put Higuain there, put Carranza. You have to, if things aren't working, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. If things aren't working and they're proving not to work,
right,
you don't keep banging your head against the wall. You change things up. You try something else. If that doesn't work, then you try something. You can't just continue to bang your head against the wall with the same thing and forcing square pegs, in my opinion, into round holes when they're not giving you results, when it's not producing for you. Robbie Robinson's best games this year have come with him out on the wing. And I get that there's different moments now. The team is not even working, even when that's happened. But putting him up top at the number 9, and again, not this weekend's blunder, but putting him at the number 9 repeatedly as a head coach exposes Robbie Robinson to bad moments, to bad games, to criticism from us on the media side, to criticism from fans. So I don't think that you're using Robbie Robinson in his most effective way, in a way that's proven for him to work. And I think that is on Phil Neville as much as it is on Robbie Robinson for not being as cutthroat or having that killer instinct, something else that Phil Neville maybe touched on earlier or this past weekend.
He should have stayed with the Chilean national team, bro. That's
if he didn't feel it, then I don't blame him for coming back. But he shouldn't have gone in the first place. He shouldn't have gone in the first place.
My point is, he needs to toughen up, and being away from home and being in that kind of an environment would have been the best thing for him, dude. It really would have. He needs tough love, bro. I don't know if anybody's giving him tough love, or they're afraid that he'll go even deeper into a shell. And if he is going to go deeper into a shell, then you drafted the wrong dude, man. I'm just saying. All right, so let's move on to the next issue, and that's the DPs. I think in a perfect world, dude, you would blow the entire thing up and get rid of all 3. I don't know if you can. But on one of them, and I'm talking about the biggest one in Higuain, I get it. He gets frustrated, so he comes closer to the midfield and tries to help out and all that stuff. But one of the things that has become clear is that he does not have the speed or the athleticism, and hit the ball. They're constantly either outrunning him to the ball or taking the ball away from him. He looks so old at times compared to the people in this league that he really should be just making a living and hanging out in the box. But I get it. There's nobody to serve him up in the box, so he gets frustrated with all of this. But this is a player right now that you're having trouble finding a spot for him, and he's also putting himself in positions where the opponent is constantly taking advantage.
So it was reported late yesterday, by fellow Miami Total Football co-host Steve Brenner, who writes for English Rags, English websites. He wrote for The Sun that Gonzalo Higuain is considering retirement. That's something that he's considering for this off season. Now, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. And if that happens, then look, I think he came in, he excited in certain moments, gave some goals in certain moments, but he wasn't anywhere near good enough or anywhere near the level he wanted to be, just like the other DPs haven't been, as you touched on. In an ideal world, Inter Miami would be able to get rid of the 3 of them and sign 3 new ones, and that could help offset the allocation money that they will lose next year. So because they're not going to be able to sign a certain amount of players because of the sanctions from Matuidi Gate. So if you could sign 3 new DPs and they all come in and they produce, that mitigates that loss of those allocation money players. So
yes.
But that's in an ideal world. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, all 3 designated players have guaranteed deals that run beyond this winter, so into next year.
I know it's easily 2 more years, all of them.
And MLS, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Higuain and Matuidi run through the end of 2022. Pizarro, I'm not sure about exactly, but I believe he's here at least through 2022, if not longer, based on his contract. Now, MLS, obviously, we know there's different rules, there's different mechanisms. It's complex. You can only buy out one player, any type of player, his contract per year. Now, theoretically, they could buy out one of the 3 DPs, but then you still have the other 2 to have to try to offload or unload. And how do you do that? That's going to be Chris Henderson's job. That's going to be Inter Miami's mission, I imagine, during these next few weeks after the season ends, to try to figure that out, try to put that puzzle together so that they can do that and try to sign 3 new DPs that can maybe bolster the squad going into 2022, because none of the 3 DPs have performed to expectations. If Higuain retires, if that happens, if that comes to pass, that helps, because then you could buy out one of Pizarro or Matuidi. I imagine Matuidi, and then you could try to sell Pizarro. But we have to see how the chips fall, because I don't know. Listen, I haven't spoken to Pizarro, Higuain, or Pizarro about this. I don't know what their thoughts are or what their motivations are going into next year. Pizarro would probably be more inclined to look for a move, because next year is a World Cup year. He's probably going to want to be playing and performing well so that he can be in the mix for a call-up. He didn't get called up to the recent Mexico national team roster because of his lack of playing time, his lack of performances. Higuain and Matuidi, they're older players, accomplished. Maybe they just want to be with their families. Maybe they'll consider retirement. But if not, they have X amount million worth of dollars in guaranteed money next year if they play another season. Will they walk away from that? Do they want to walk away from that? These are questions that obviously come down to personal motivations, personal decisions, and that's what we'll have to see how things unfold for Inter Miami this winter.
Please walk away. As Kelly Clarkson would say, walk away.
You're done with it, man, huh? You're done with this iteration.
I mean, I never thought I would use a Kelly Clarkson reference right now. I mean, ever.
I'm surprised you know a Kelly Clarkson reference.
I know Kelly Clarkson. She's, I watched that American Idol season, so I was. Okay. I've been a fan of hers ever since. So I got nothing but love for Kelly Clarkson back in the day. So yes, root for Kelly Clarkson. So yes, walk away, please, Higuain, walk away, because that's basically what you're doing on the pitch. You're walking away, brother, because you can't even run. What happens tonight, dude? Can they beat another shitty team, a team that's actually shittier than they are?
I think that they can. I think that they will. My prediction is that Inter Miami wins today. They score some goals. I do think they will switch out of that 5-man back line, because before I thought that they should have, but I didn't think that they would, because nothing from Phil Neville's tactics or strategy indicated that they would. But in this last game, like I mentioned before, he switched the formation 4-2-3-1 in the final minutes of the game against the Columbus Crew, obviously looking for a little bit more of an attacking punch or attacking edge. So I think that was a glimpse into what we'll see tonight. I think that he will go back to the 4-2-3-1, and he'll see how that works. I think it should work better, especially against a team like Toronto. Now, the trick will be if they win today and they win in that formation, and maybe they generate a little bit more, they score a goal or two, well, then people will be like, well, why didn't they play that formation the entire time? Which, to an extent, is a fair question. To an extent, it's an unfair question because of the certain moments and certain circumstances. But I do think that they should have moved into this a few games ago and tried it out, because, again, we know the issues they have offensively. Worst scoring team in the league. Federico Higuain in Spanish, I asked him over the weekend about the lack of goals, the attacking issues. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but he said that he's convinced that to score goals, you have to generate as many chances as possible. And to generate as many chances as possible, you have to play with the ball more. And it's easier to defend direct play, in his opinion, than it is to defend build-up play where you're passing the ball from side to side, trying to disorganize the opponent, trying to find space, and then wait for the moment to inflict damage. That was Federico Higuain's post-game quote when I asked him that question. To me, and this is just me reading between the lines there, doesn't sound like he's in agreement with how Phil Neville has tactically deployed the team as of late. But I think we're going to see a bit more of an offensive-minded Inter Miami team, especially tonight at home after being a month away on the road, a big road swing against a really poor team that's already out of the playoffs. I think in front of the fans, Inter Miami fans, they're going to try to go for it. They're going to try to generate some excitement. They're not going to try to lay another egg out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight at Drive Pink Stadium at 7:30, it's one shitty team versus another shitty team. It is the Turd Cup between Inter Miami and Toronto, baby. 7:30. Don't miss it. My man Franco Panizzo will be covering the Turd Cup. So have fun, my brother. I appreciate you. We'll see who wins the Turd Cup today at 7:30, man. Thank you for taking some time. And don't forget, follow him on Twitter at Franco Panizzo if you're listening on the podcast there, and subscribe. You want to keep up with Inter Miami and you want to find out how they no longer will be turds, do it at Miami Total Football. That is the podcast, Miami Total Football. Franco, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you, bro. I'll work on the hats here for next.
Yeah,
week.
I'm gonna get you a Marlins hat. I swear to you, I'm gonna get you a Marlins hat.
Get it at Caneswear.
always at Caneswear. There you go. You know it. You know it. All right, you be good.
Yeah, bro.
There you go. The great Franco Panizzo. Good stuff there. The Turd Bowl today. And I'll be watching. I don't care. I love my Inter Miami squad. I want them to do well, man. I've always been very pro soccer of all of our local teams, Strikers, Miami FC, you name it, and now Inter Miami. Always been very pro soccer. I want them to do well, but they have been just absolutely atrocious, man. Atrocious. We suck because they don't play soccer in the hood. Let's keep it real. That's what C. Dola says. What does that have anything to do with that? They need to draft the next Offerdahl. Too many tweeners. These are the texts coming in. Big O, you keep forgetting about the O-line development as well as Tua's development. We need to develop a solid line so the running game can also develop. That's where my focus is. Of course. Of course. I didn't say that you didn't have to develop a line. I just said that I give Tua a lot of credit this past week for helping the line look a little better, is my point, because he was really smart and got rid of the football. Big O, if you fill Inter Miami with low salary B League players from Argentina, Bolivian, Brazilian, Colombian players, they will win games via pure savagery and hard aggressive play, not to mention better talent. Actually, Tremolio, the MLS is actually more physical than most of the leagues those guys play in. By the way, the MLS is way more physical than the Brazilian league. Not just more physical, not just slightly more physical, way more physical than the Brazilian league. Okay? They might be more aggressive in the soccer stands in Brazil and Argentina, but their soccer is actually not more physical than American soccer. And in soccer, it still comes down to chemistry. It still comes down to getting the right talent. You know, the aggressiveness or toughness or any of that stuff. No, you know how many international players come over here and they struggle? Chicharito is a world-class player, and he couldn't score either last year. 2 years ago, when in his first year, he looked like crap. The Mexicans were booing him. That's how bad he was. Now he figured it out, but it takes them a while to figure this league out. This league is a little harder than people think, not on the talent level, on the physicality level, on the competitive side, because there is no, Man U, and there is no, like, you go look at the Premiership, or you go look at the German Bundesliga, and all those kind of leagues are super top heavy. And there's a couple of really good teams, and then there's a whole bunch of others on the table that have got no shot, pretty much. Right from the beginning, you knew they had no shot. It's like, Yankees and Red Sox and Cubs and Dodgers, that they have an advantage on average over everybody in baseball because of the money, and so it puts them in that position. So it's not that gimme of a thing that, you bring this guy, that guy, and for sure, no, you still have to have a certain skill set. I mean, look at Higuain. It's a world-class goal scorer, and he looks completely out of place at times here.
because he doesn't have the speed and athleticism to hang with guys. See, that's the other thing that people don't understand. The MLS, it was a retirement league most of its existence. Go look at it now over the last couple of years, and it has changed. It's more of a younger league now. You are seeing more athleticism than you've ever seen. You're seeing more youth than you've ever seen now, because that's kind of what they're looking for, because they're taking that next step as a league. They're not where the big leagues are, and I don't even know if they'll ever get there, but this is the next step where you go younger, and then you start to sell players that you develop to European teams. You know what I mean? And then the next step is you start to be able to buy the big time stars. But they are not there yet because their salary cap is not there. But this league is a little harder than what people think. Let's take a quick break. We got, what is this, hour number 3 already down. In hour number 4, by the way, actually, we got an open hour. So we'll take your questions on the Twitter at Big O Show, on the YouTube chat board, on email at bigradioshow@yahoo.com. I got a couple things I want to talk about Dolphins-wise. I got to give you my NBA picks for tonight. I got some video and some pictures of stuff that's pretty cool that we want to get into. So we got things to talk about, and of course, your questions. And remember the text line, 855-912-1056. You want to support our show by making a donation, please. Cash App and Venmo, Cash Big O Show. Help us grow at Cash Big O Show. Appreciate all of you out there as always. We will take a break. Hour number 3 is next.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available, from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show. Judge, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Lando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Dolphins to the Heat, well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, lollipop blow in the...
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Show O's on the radio, the top's where we gonna go. Miami, that's the way we roll.
Folks, you can support the hardest working sports talk show in South Florida through Cash App or Venmo. Just search Cash Big O Show. Support us through Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. We thank you for your incredible support.
On the morning show, Big O. No one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Live and direct, because nobody do it better than Big O in the set. From sunrise, listen live.
When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee, and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today, 786-802-1727, or online at adreamlending.com. The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All righty. Hour number 4 here on the program, right? I think it is something like that, right? Is it hour number? Let's see. 8:30, that's 1, that's 2, it's 3. Yeah, it's like hour number 4 in a way. So yes, our number 4 here on the program. By the way, the market is absolutely blowing up. Bitcoin is now up to 67,351, all-time high. Ethereum has crossed the 4,000 mark like I thought this morning it would. It's at 4,092, working its way up to 4,100. It's beautiful. Polygon climbing up to 154. Crow climbing up almost at 20 cents. I love it. V-Chain's up almost 3%. Man, I tell you, those of us that are investing in a little crypto are loving it. Loving it. By the way, Tremonio, savagery has nothing to do with strategy when you're talking about adjectives, okay? So because Big O thinks I was talking about physical and I was talking about aggressive play and strategy. Please continue to study football. I said, you said savagery, didn't you? Didn't you? Savagery. There you go. Colombian players, they will win games via pure savagery. I'm not. Where is savagery and strategy in the same stratosphere? They're not. Okay. So if you meant strategy, then say strategy. But if you meant savagery, that has nothing to do with strategy. That has to do with physical and tough play, which again, I already explained that. So there we go. Now he hates Flo, such a fraud. Who hates Flo now? Who hates Flo? Who's hating on Flo there? And it's Cam Flo right now. Okay? On this show, it is Cam Flo, not Flo. Oh, how did the Dolphins let DJ sign somewhere else? I don't know what to tell you, my brother. Flores is becoming Cameron 2.0. Are you still hung up on that guy? Jesus. Hey, Cam Flo has been terrible this year. But I still want to give them both an opportunity to get the hell out of this hole and prove to us that they can be the guys. Just this whole cycle of every 2-3 years, we keep, wanting to get rid of the coaches in the front office and start all over again and all that. It's just kind of frustrating, man. So I just want to, and there, it's like there's no real answer out there. It's not like I know that there's somebody that you can hire that for sure is going to take you in the positive direction and win you a title. So personally, yes, I'm incredibly unhappy with Flo. I couldn't be more unhappy with Flo. Let's be honest. But I still want to give him an opportunity to try to, fix this damn thing and see if he can. And if he can't, then he's not the guy. That's it. What happened to the Flores from last year? The guy that's been kidnapped by this imposter. We need that guy back. Well, that's what we've talked about the last couple of days. Okay. If you missed the show, that's kind of, been the theme in the last couple of days. Steven St. Gerard says Cam Flo really likes going with the flow. I swear he's not making big changes because what was set up was really all on him. So he's trying to make it work. In a way, you are correct. Because he set up that line the way he wanted it. He brought in his offensive line coach, and he created his own offensive coordinators and got rid of Chan Gailey. Yes, you are correct, sir. And whether Chan Gailey left or they got rid of him or he got tired, whatever it is, you scared off the dude that you didn't have somebody better than him. So, yeah, I think there's some truth to a lot of what you just said there. Just like the Jacoby Brissett thing. No matter how bad he wasn't going to play Reed Sinnott. As I told you all, the GM brought Fitzpatrick in. The coach brought Brissett in. As I told you all, the GM brought Chan Gailey in. The head coach created this whole offensive coordinator thing. So the part that bothers me the most out of all of this is that Chris Greer is going to burn himself by hiring Flo. If Flo can't fix this, because Flo created a lot of this mess. And I wish that if you're the personnel guy, you should just take over, man. Yeah, and you tell the coach, hey, listen, if I agree with you and I think a guy fits you, that's fine. But if I don't, this is the way we're going to go. And that's it. So you do your best to coach these players up. So I'm just saying. But we'll find out now. The positive about all of this, and this is the truth right here. I know it sounds twisted as hell. Now, shit's going to happen, man. I tell you guys all the time, the way I test the quarterback the most and find out if they're any good, if they're franchise guys, is how do you work under chaos? And if I can see you can do some things under you, because you can't live your life as a quarterback under chaos all the time, because forget about it, it's going to kill you. But it's going to happen. A tackle's going to go out in the middle of a game. You still got to overcome it. You don't have a running game that much. You still got to find a way to overcome it. Now, if you never overcome adversity, then I know you're not the guy. But franchise players overcome adversities. You know what I'm saying? Well, same thing with coaches. That's how I measure a coach. And Flo took on a different kind of adversity the first 2 years in the rebuild. Now he's facing a different kind of adversity, and that's expectations. Expectations for himself, for the media, for fans, for the ownership group. Everybody had expectations for the Dolphins. People around the league, and they have not met them. So now let's see how you respond. So this is all part of the game. And we're going to find out. And if they win 3 or 4 games, then you know he's not the guy. Now, if they go back out and when they go and they win 7, 8, 9 games, then you can start to say, you know what? Maybe they screwed up early. He figured it out. Let's give him an opportunity to come back. But that's the positive about all of this, is that this is another layer of adversity that a head coach is always going to face. Every one of them. It doesn't matter if you're Mike Tomlin, if you're Sean Payton, if you're Don Shula, if you're Tom Landry, if you're Andy Reid. I don't give a shit. There's going to be a season where you have a pretty good team and you don't live up to the expectations. The good coaches go through this, and they've got to fight through it. Like a couple years ago when Mike Tomlin's team made it with like 8-8 or whatever, and they had all kinds of adversity. But that's the idea. Find a way to overcome. Show me. And Tomlin's done that in his tenure in Pittsburgh. He's won. He's had success with great teams. He's won a championship, all of that. But he's also fought through a couple of difficult years. I need to know if you've got what it takes. This is a great test for Flo now. We're going to find out if he has what it takes, because right now it doesn't look like it, right? Right now at 1-5, Flo looks lost. Flo looks like he can't figure it out. Flo can't put people in the right places to succeed. They're not coming through when they need it. He's not calling the right plays. He's not putting the right coaches in place. So right now the shit has hit the fan for the head coach. So it sucks for all of us. But now we get to find out another thing, another characteristic about Flo. So what happens now when adversity hits and you've got expectations? Do you point fingers? Do you fold? You can't figure it out. Or you're able to bounce back and figure it out and start winning some games. That's the positive about all of this, believe it or not. It's another way of finding out if you got the right guy or not. Because right now, there's 90% of you want to fire his ass. Right? 100% of you want to fire Chris Greer, pretty much, or 99, whatever. And probably, 70% of you don't believe in Tua anymore. That's what we're dealing with right now. So Tua's got to ball out for the rest of the year to convince people. Flo's got to turn this thing around to convince people. We'll find out. Time answers all, ladies and gentlemen. Alf Brown says Act 13, 29:30, and when they had fulfilled all that was written of him, they took him down from the tree and laid him in a sepulcher. What is it? No, sepulcher, whatever that is. But God raised him from the dead. I'm not sure why you wrote that, but it's interesting. Oh, do we have a single linebacker who is good in coverage? No. No. Right now, no, I don't see anybody that's really good in coverage. No. Let's see. I would offer Dallas a first and X for Micah Parsons. Why would they do that? That would be a dumb move on their part. Accept a big-ass salary for a kid you're not paying a salary because he's only a first-round pick and he's on his rookie contract, and you're taking on a headache and a guy that's got a bad knee. Yeah, no, I don't think so. It sounds great in theory and all that good stuff, but no. Big O, I don't have an issue with the Dolphins drafting a QB. I think open competition would help Tua's development. Open competition to what? Brissett and Sinet? That's not competition for him, man. He doesn't need you don't draft a guy at number 5 to compete. If you draft him at 5, it's because he's a starter. You know, if he has to be competing, then you drafted the wrong guy. Who gets fired first, Manny or Flores? That's a great question. That's a fantastic question because I don't think either gets fired this year. Because I don't think Stephen Ross does. I think Stephen Ross may sits down with both guys and says, yo, fix this next year or you're both gone. That I see, because I don't think he's firing either guy, and I don't think Manny Diaz gets fired. So if they're going to get fired, it'll be after next season in 2022. Dude, I'm going to go with Manny. You know why? I've never seen anything from Manny in 3 years. Nothing. At least with Flo, I have the first 2 years that I was impressed with. It's that's the reason why I haven't gotten completely off the Cam Flo bandwagon, because it's these 6 games that he has sucked. He wasn't bad his first 2 years. He was very good. Manny Diaz has sucked all 3 years. I got off the Manny bandwagon after the first year. I was done with Manny Diaz after the first year. I wasn't even willing to give him a second chance. At least with Flo, I'm still willing to give him a chance. Why? Because of the first 2 years. That's the difference. I have some glimmer of hope with Cam Flo. I have no hope with Diaz. None. I don't think he'll ever get it. I don't think he'll ever be a good head coach. I don't think he can be a good head coach. At least that's the feeling I get from afar. Cam Flo's different. Cam Flo, I'm pissed off about what's gone on for 6 weeks, but I know it frustrates all of you out there. Like, what the hell is O thinking? Why does he have so much patience and all that stuff? I'm sorry. I'm unhappy with what's going on, but I'm not ready to just, bury both guys. I don't think it's fair. With Manny, it's different. I haven't seen anything from him at all, ever, as a head coach. And that's an enormous difference for me. I know a lot of you will not agree with me. Very few of you will, but that's sports, That's fine. I had lots of you that didn't agree with me about Joe Philbin, about Tony Sperano early on, about Dave Wanstead, about Cam Cameron early on, all these kind of things that I went against it. There are plenty of you that were against me. And I was right on all of those. So maybe I'm right here and maybe I'm wrong. Whatever, man. It is what it is. Either way, we all lose because our Dolphins aren't getting any better. So none of us really win by being right or wrong. Who gives a shit? In the end, it's the team's not good enough for any of us to really enjoy it. And that's the real problem. NorCal says, Greer has built draft capital through 2023. I'm willing to give this regime till the end of 2023. If they show improvement each year, if we go 4-13 and start slow, and 22, chop it, but Fins for life. Troy Ortiz says, why do the football gods hate us in South Florida fans? What did we ever do to them? I wonder that myself, dude. I wonder that myself. Because we have really, really bad luck, man. Manny Diaz hype was created by the FSU game. It's just created overall because he did a good job on defense. He did a good job as a defensive coordinator. And you know what? Maybe that's what Manny is. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've always said that. There are some guys that aren't head coaches and they're just good coordinators. And what the hell is wrong with that? I have immense respect for Bill Arnsberger. Rest in peace. That guy's one of the greatest coaches of all time. So he's an assistant coach. Dante Scarnecchia. Like, that guy's God for offensive line coaches. Monty Clark we had here years ago. Mike Westhoff. There's nothing wrong with being an exceptional assistant coach, coordinator. Nothing wrong with that, dude. You can't win without those kind of guys. Mel Phillips was here forever as a DB coach because he was excellent. Coach after coach after coach kept him. It was Shula's guy. Jimmy kept him. And, Jimmy didn't like anything Shula. And he kept Mel Phillips. And then once they kept Mel Phillips, and then Mel eventually retired because he was in the business for a long time. There's nothing wrong with that. And maybe that's what Manny Diaz is. Maybe that's what he's supposed to be, a defensive coordinator. But I haven't seen anything from him as a head coach to be impressed with at all. At least with Flo, I was really impressed with him the first 2 years. That's why I'm not So, I get it, man. It's short-term memories. Nobody gives a shit about what you did yesterday or the day before or the week after or whatever. It's what you did for me now. It's what you've done for me lately, right? And so a lot of you already have, shit on Flo, and he's done and it's over. And I get it. It's ugly, dude. It's the worst coaching I've seen since Cam Cameron. That's why he's Cam Flo. I'm pissed. But I'm not ready to just give up on the dude. I'm not. Ohio John says a lot of people seem to want Greer gone, but with Ross not being a football guy, if he moved on from Greer, what's his process in finding a new GM? I don't know. That's a great call, because then that means you put the coach who has made a bunch of bad personnel decisions in the position to go get himself, you know what, John? A puppet GM, which then that means the guy's got the title, but he really isn't going to make the picks. It'll be Flo. And what have I been pointing out is there's a lot of bad decisions by Flo that you can tell it's not the GM, it's Flo making these decisions. And so, no, yeah, it would, I think that would be a disaster. What I'm hoping, actually, is that both guys kind of figure it out towards the end of the year. And then Greer kind of says, yeah, I'm going to take a little bit more of a hold of what's going on here. And less of you will be saying who to pick. That's what he should be doing. But, whatever. This is the definition of a workplace mobbing by a gang of corporate psychopaths. It destroys everything. A perfect example when Steve Jobs was run out of Apple and almost destroyed the company. Robert Rosario says, great show, Big O. Why don't we try and get someone from Baltimore Ravens front office? The team is always competing. Your thoughts? Yeah, but you got to get the right guy. You don't know which one. You got to make sure you get the right guy that made the right decisions. That's the key, my man. Because you might pick the wrong guy from that front office, i.e. Joe Philbin. So you pick the wrong coach. You pick the wrong personnel guy. Ugh. Puts you in a tough. Now, I got to tell you something. The personnel guys that we had here, while they had their issues, they weren't bad personnel people in the end. Hickey, this is how brutal we are. You go look at his 2 drafts. They weren't that bad. They were actually decent drafts. I'm not telling you they were all-time great drafts or anything, but they were better than a lot of the ones we've seen in the past. And he's thriving. And so is Spielman, and so is Ireland. So that's the part that I kind of pump my brakes with the whole personnel thing. Because it seems like every time our personnel guys were all trapped up in some kind of a political mess that multiple people were making decisions. And this is what's going on again here. And then they end up learning their lessons and they go somewhere else and they do better. That's frustrating. Call of Duty, thank you. A little love on the super chat. Watson wanted to be here because Greer and Flores are African Americans. What happens if they get fired? Well, I don't know, man. Call of Duty. I don't really care what Watson thinks. I got to be honest with you. Watson kind of makes me uneasy as a human being because I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's a rapist or he's just a horny football player that's just an idiot. I'm not exactly sure. But either one scares the crap out of me. One, if he's a criminal, then you're worried about what a criminal says and you're going to acquire a criminal. Or 2, you got a moron that, keeps calling strangers to come rub his thing and open himself up to these kind of situations. So I got a hard time, trusting, believing in anything that Deshaun Watson does or says. I personally don't want the Dolphins to be associated with his ass. I know we're super desperate. We're so desperate to win that some of us just don't care who they bring. But I'm kind of uneasy about this Sean Watson dude. You know, just to be that level of that, to have that level of stupidity, it's crazy. They need to leave Flores alone and not give Flores more power, hire a new front office and coaches around the league can trust. Get Flores NFL coaching staff and support the team. Yeah, that sounds a lot. That sounds like, you live in utopia. You make it sound like, oh, okay, here, we'll get this Hall of Fame assistant coach and we'll get this this perennial great assistant coach and we'll get him. How do you know they want to come here? How do you know they want to work for Flores? Maybe people don't want to work for Flores. Maybe people don't want to come here because they're afraid that Flores is coming back on a hot seat. You guys throw that stuff out there erratically, it's so easy to do that. It's so simple. And that's just not that easy. All righty. Remember, 855-912-1056. If you want to get in on the text line, just in case you don't want to put it in on the YouTube chat board there, you can chime in on the text line, 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056 if you want to get in. We don't have bad luck. We just took things for granted. We were winning with Jimmy, but wanted him fired. We were winning with Shula, but wanted him fired. We were winning with Wannstedt, but wanted him fired. We are never happy. Well, with Jimmy, you weren't really winning. You were winning, but you were getting thoroughly embarrassed in the playoffs. Jimmy wasn't really getting anywhere with the offense. And Wannstedt ruined the defense. Let's just be honest. Wannstedt was handed a defense, and all he had to do was fix the offense, and he couldn't fix the offense. And then he lost the team down the stretch. Maybe you have short-term memory. And Jimmy quit. We didn't push him out or fire him. Jimmy quit, dude. Jimmy burns out like he always burns out every 5 years. Go look at his history. He doesn't stay anywhere long. Did you think Jimmy was going to be here 10 or 15 years? He can't. He goes so hard at it, he burns himself out. So you're kind of making stuff up that really doesn't exist. And Wannstedt had to go. He was losing the team. I was a beat guy. I know. Those guys never believed in Wannstedt anymore the last few years. They played hard because they had a lot of character guys on that team. That defense was good, man. They just never got an offense. Oh, watch all the 22. It's a miracle Tua looks as good as he did. Jesse and Liam were atrocious. Tua's quick release was the only reason he wasn't sacked 6 times. I know. They did a serviceable job, but I give Tua a lot of credit. He played well, man. Played really well. Love your show, Big O. Tua can only throw those short slants. He couldn't help an O-line if his life depended on it. Only very special QBs do that, and that's not Tua. You're twisting yourself in a knot, and you sound silly with a guy who at best is a game manager and a slant thrower. Of course, because he can sit back there and wait for a deep ball. Yeah. I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, and you sound absolutely stupid, and you don't realize what football's all about. You think he can sit back there and wait? Come on, man. That Olin won 10 games last year. They dumbed down the offense for Tua for short routes. They dumbed it down because they actually have a terrible line. And they had actually veteran players on that line last year to actually help them out a little bit. But that's all right, man. If you're not a Tua guy, whatever, and you're an arm queen and you think that, you need to have an arm to throw way downfield and all that, well, then you can have Jeff George, dude. Our records were way better than what we've been the last 10 years with those 3 coaches, After winning a Super Bowl, plus he's an ex-Fin. I don't know what that means. Oh, that was yesterday on Tuesday. That one that I'm reading. All right. I will get to those later. Majority of Tom Brady's passes were Tom Brady always played in a box. He went deep when he had opportunities, of course. But that's, again, but he has a line that at times he can go deep. You can't go deep more often than not. In Tampa, it's a little different because you got a different coach that loves to go deep, but his line is so superior to what Tua has. But that's fine, man. I mean, I get it. Those of you that aren't Tua people, you're not ever going to be convinced, and you think that every quarterback has to be 6'5", and every quarterback has to have a cannon for an arm. Meanwhile, you got tons of guys like Achilles Smith that had a cannon and did absolutely nothing, and Jeff George and had a cannon and did nothing, and Jamarcus Russell, who was size and cannon and did absolutely nothing. Plenty of guys. I saw Jim Druckenmiller personally, a wall, 6'5", had a gun of an arm, dumb as bricks. Having a cannon and having the size does not make you a good quarterback. You can be Drew Brees, not have size, not have a great arm, and be a great quarterback. And you can be Joe Montana and not have great size and not have a great arm and be a great quarterback. Okay? It's possible. It happens. It's not impossible. Fran Tarkenton did it. You know what I'm saying? Len Dawson did it. Didn't have a strong arm either. He had a little more size, but he didn't have a strong arm. And yet, Super Bowl champion. Lots of guys. Chad Pennington, before the injuries, was a terrific quarterback. Had the size, but never had a strong arm. But was a, what's call FBI help? All right, let's see if they do it one more time so we can block them. Now they got there we go. We got the one more. There we go. These people that jump on and then they just start putting like the same message over and over and over again. Really is amazing. The Get Up 17 says, Chad, blame it on the Henny. Had size and arm, no bueno. Exactly. But that's what these size queens are. They're like, oh no, you got you got the size and the arm. Yeah, you're definitely the guy. Of course you are. All right, 855-912-1056. If you want to get in on the program, that's 855-912-1056. If you want to get in on the show, you can also reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show. Follow us there on Twitter. Don't forget, please smash the like button. Very important that you smash the like button there too. Dallas Cowboys safety. Is it Damontae Kazee? I think is how it's pronounced. He got arrested. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Damontae Kazee arrested. It's an off week for the Cowboys, and this is the way you want your off week to be spent, is doing things like this and ending up with a mug shot. There you go. There's Damontae. Gotta love it. Kazee, by the way, there you see. The bye week has gotten off to a brutal start. The defensive back was arrested Tuesday on suspicion of drunk driving. According to reports, Kazee was stopped in the Colony, Texas, at around 3 a.m. over a traffic violation when cops say the NFLer had shown signs he had been drinking. A spokesperson for the Colony Police Department told the Dallas Morning News Kazee then admitted to an officer he had consumed alcohol before getting behind the wheel. He failed the field sobriety test and was arrested for DWI, which is a Class B misdemeanor. His bond was set at $2,500, and he was released just after noon on Tuesday. And it ain't fun, bro, being in those holding cells. I'll tell you from experience, okay? Because I've been in those holding cells. I did it once. I got busted in DWI. Although that could happen to anybody once. I think any of us, it's not, I don't condone it, but I think it could happen to any of us. A mistake, not a second, a third time, then, obviously we're talking about trouble here, problems. But I had a tail layout in my 280ZX just in the 80s. That's a long time ago. I was 18 years old. And I didn't know I had this light out, and I didn't pay a ticket. And my dad had warned me, hey, pay that ticket, pay that ticket, pay that ticket. And you want to know how Cuban parents are, how old school parents are, because it's not a Cuban thing. I think old school parents might do something like this to you. So I call him from Medley, because I got pulled over by cops in Medley. And I say, hey, Dad, I'm sorry to bother you, but I got arrested. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And he goes, arrested? What the hell happened? And he goes, oh, wait a minute. He didn't even let me answer. He goes, you didn't pay that ticket that I told you to pay. And I go, no, I did not. Because my dad was one of those dudes that, he gave me money for gas. He gave me money for food. He gave me money for clothes, right? But then he told me, and this is since I was 13, 14, seriously. And if I want to go skating, or if I want to go to a concert, or if I want to go out with a girl, you know what he would tell me? Get a job. I'm not paying for you to F around. No. I'll pay for your necessities. You want to go have fun? You go get your own money. So I've had a job since I was a kid, man, delivering papers from the Miami News. So my dad was one of those no, you need to know what the value of a dollar is and all that kind of crap. You've lived with it. Come on. So my dad was as old school as it gets, dude. So I got arrested, and I called him, and he goes, so you didn't pay the ticket. Didn't I tell you to pay that ticket? Yes, Dad, you told me to pay a ticket. He goes, great. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I said, what? So yeah, go experience jail. Go experience the holding cell in Dade County. We'll see you later. And sure enough, the son of a bitch didn't pick me up till 10 or 11 in the morning. He went back to sleep, and he woke up, and he, showered, shaved, and took his time, drove down to D.C., and then picked my sorry ass up. That was an interesting night. They gave me this disgusting egg sandwich that I wouldn't eat if my life depended on it. And I was asked about the sandwich within the first 2 minutes. I said, you can have it. They gave you a dirty sandwich and a dirty mattress. And then you're in a holding cell with 50 other dudes. So you just sit there in a corner and just wait till they call your damn name, dude. Interesting. I did ask I was asked if I smuggled in any weed. I looked at the guy like, what? Oh man. Ian from Brooklyn goes, Bill, my mom was just like your dad. Yeah, I'm not the only one that grew up with old school. I'm 55. Of course I grew up with old school parents, man. Old school parents they can't, all of our parents would be arrested. Right? All of our parents, most of us that are my age or older, most of our parents would either be in jail or lose their kids to child services in today's world. Right or wrong? Huh? Right or wrong? Right? There's no way you can get away with the shit our parents got away with back in the day nowadays. Kids now, they'll just threaten you. I'll call child services. It's different world, man. Absolutely different world. So there you go. Did you guys see the Milwaukee Bucks ring? Did you see the championship ring, Sean, from the Milwaukee Bucks? It's pretty freaking cool, dude, because it's also a pendant. So it's actually like it is a new thing, right? So let me show you here the ring. Well, here's the ring. Here it is. I'm sorry. There you go. There's the ring. Here, let me see if I'm showing it to you. There we go. Okay, so you got the ring here, and then obviously this is how it becomes a pendant. Right? So let me see if I can is it here? No, let me see. Where is it? Here. See, there was a video. I thought I had the damn video of it. Or maybe it's the gallery. Okay, here we go. There we go. So I don't know. Can you guys see this now? Yeah, there you go. Okay, you're seeing this. So there you go. See, it's the pendant. Then there you go. Fear the Deer, Antetokounmpo. He played like a madman yesterday, like he always does. Bucks in 6. You've got the whole 4-0, 4-3, 4-2, 4-2. Then you see the front of the ring. It actually is I gotta say, I think it's actually a really cool looking ring. I kind of like it. And then that's how it becomes a pendant. You see the thing folds in, and then you're able to hide it. See, Fear the Deer, all that stuff. They got all kinds of stuff written inside. Well, that is definitely not, but that actually looks better than the ring. I don't know what that is, but that looks, you got to admit that looks better than the ring right there. Much better than the ring. That is strong right there. That is strong. I don't know who she was, but that was strong. There are literally thousands of psychiatrists, psychologists, and family therapists who are deeply grateful for old school parents. How would they make money otherwise? Oh, you know what? I'm grateful for my old school parents because this is a soft ass world, bro. We got a bunch of soft ass generations that we got coming up. These millennials and then the Generation Zs are even worse. Seriously, like these are some soft ass generations right here coming up. Ugh. But then again, look at the things that go on, so it's not something that you teach people how to be tough. Bucks ring should be a big asterisk. Yeah, well, listen, all I know is it's a cool ring. I gotta give a little props there. Deer looks best in my wall and in my plate. I can see a bunch of those pendants snatched off of players' necks. Yeah. We'll see. I have to ask you a question. Do you think we blew it by taking the wrong quarterback in the last draft? Yes or no, and why not? I don't know yet. Right now, it looks like you did take the wrong quarterback, right? That's the way if that's the answer you want. But I'm not, it's still an incomplete. I need to see more. That's all. Is he going to develop into Ryan Tannehill? That's what I want to know. Is Justin Herbert going to turn into Ryan Tannehill, or is he going to turn into Tom Brady? And I'm not talking about championships. I'm talking about moxie. I'm talking about being able to take over a game, something that Ryan Tannehill has never done in his career. Maybe it's happened once or twice by accident, but I'm talking about taking over. Is he going to become that guy? Because he hasn't become that guy yet. That's the question. So if Justin Herbert is Jared Goff, who gives a shit then? Then you didn't take the wrong guy. You understand what I'm saying? So you can have an arm And you can be athletic and you can be big and strong. But I need to know if you can win and elevate a team and win in clutch moments. Okay? And when your running game isn't working and there's a couple of linemen missing and all of that, did you watch them this week? There was chaos. Didn't rise above the chaos. Baltimore was all over his ass. First time he had a defense like that this year, because certainly Kansas City isn't one. So I gotta find. See, I'm not doing this whole thing where I'm just jumping out and at the first thing that happens and I'm gonna react to it. I get it, man. It doesn't look good right now. But I know this. He's not playing with Keenan Allen. Right? He's not playing with Mike Williams. He's got two receivers that are better than these guys. He's got a good tight end, and their people don't use him. Finally, this past week, they started using Gesicki. But the first couple of weeks, they weren't using him. I know he was injured too. Still, even with Brissett, I'm telling you, you don't have great offensive minds. You don't have a great offensive line. You don't have a great offensive line coach. You don't have great weapons or reliable weapons, but yet we're asking Tua to carry everything. And it's asinine. I'm not comparing apples and apples. Like I tell everybody, you give Tua what Mac Jones had in week 1. You give him max line and max offense, receivers, tight end, running game, everything, and you give Mac Jones Miami's line and everything else, and it's not a 17-16 game. No. Tua kicks the Patriots' ass 40-10. That's the difference. But if you want to keep, comparing apples and oranges, you go ahead. But until I see Tua have the kind of line that some of these guys have, well, then I'll tell you, okay, it's a fair comparison. But right now, it's not a fair comparison. And I'm not really complaining about Tua. I think he's done a good job considering the shit he has around him. So I'm not ready to say that Justin Herbert is the second coming, because some of you actually even think that Ryan Tannehill can actually get something done, and you don't even watch the games. What do you think? The other night he won it? Or do you think Derrick Henry keeps winning everything? I mean, when the coach came out, he clearly didn't say we ride Ryan Tannehill. He said we ride Derrick Henry. Front pocket, back pocket, it's something we always have, and it's something we'll always use. Do you think they're saying in Tampa, we ride Leonard Fournette? No, we effing ride Tom Brady. We effing ride Russell Wilson. So when I see Justin Herbert become Russell Wilson, become Tom Brady, become Pat Mahomes, then I'll tell you, you got the wrong quarterback. But until I see him dismantle good teams and respond in chaotic moments and lift them to playoffs and win playoff games, that he is the difference maker in it, then I'll tell you, you drafted the wrong guy. But until then, I haven't seen enough to be saying, oh, yeah, no, Justin Herbert's the second coming. I get it. He looks great. Fantastic stats. I need to see more than stats. I've watched all kinds of players put up stats. I watched Donnie Culpepper put up stats, and he wasn't that good. But he had Moss, he had Jake Reed, he had Carter, he even had a Kleinsasser at tight end who was an underrated tight end, pretty damn good. And I think some guy named Robert Smith also was a running back there too. I mean, give to the Vikings line of that time, give to a Randy Moss, Jake Reed, and Carter, All right, and give him Robert Smith, and let's see how Tua looks. Big O, the thing I'm worried about with Cam Flo and Tannenbaum Greer desperately trade Tua to someone like Pitt after they trade a future for Wilson, and Pitt goes to 3 Super Bowls. Oh, man. I get it, man. We're so beaten up as Dolphin fans that, yeah, you can think stuff like that. I don't blame you guys. Our top wide receivers can't even stay on the field this season is a wash, and it's almost unbelievable. I had stupid high hopes, and I'm sure everyone else did. Hey, Ian, we're all there with you, man. We're all hurting. We all were expecting more. We're all disappointed. You know, we're all in the same boat together, man. What we don't need is really to actually fight amongst each other about how we suck and why we suck. That's really it just becomes just terrible. You know what I mean? It's the worst part is we're having a bad season and we can't enjoy football and we can't enjoy our team the way we want to enjoy them. And they can't do what we want them to do. You know? So all the Tua haters are so quick to downplay Tua, but did anyone notice Tua's disguise, the horrendous offensive line protection by Jesse Davis and Liam last game with the plays he was able to create? Yeah, what can I tell you, bro? People aren't going to. It's almost like they're dead set on not giving him credit. You know? Before Tannehill, Henry had 215 carries 2020 and Henry 378 carries against Tennessee. Sir, he was sharing carries. Mr. Majestic, where to go look, dude? He was sharing carries with another running back. Man, some of you did your homework. He wasn't a full-time starter for 2 years. Once they got rid of the Dallas guy, then they moved on, and then Henry became the guy. I mean, the problem with some of you is you don't have games, so you grab stats, and you really don't know the whole story. And stats don't tell you the whole story. Man. Big ol' half the fan base are weirdos who act like they're GMs. Oh, Lord. By the way, did you see what's it called? Joel Embiid to Ben Simmons? I thought that was you talk about a situation that is pretty much gone, and that's Ben Simmons trying to go back to Philadelphia. Not that he wants to go back, but just to watch Joel Embiid go off on him yesterday pretty much seals the deal. I can't wait for the day that he has to come back to play in Philly. I can't wait for the day that has to not only come back to Philly, but then he has to drive to the lane. If this punk ass will actually drive the lane and Joel Embiid is there.
I just want to, I don't care about that man, honestly. He does that's not my job. You know, that's those guys' job. I'm just focused on trying to make the team happen, win games, play hard every night. Trying to lead, the guys I'm out here, and I'm trying to feel the same way because, our chemistry is excellent. Despite, that's been happening the last month. So, yeah, I said, I don't really care.
I can't wait. I hope he's traded and he eventually will have to come back to Philly. Now, can you imagine if this punk ass also says, no, well, I don't want to play that night, or he gets a migraine or a headache, he gets a Pippin migraine, something like that, and then can't play? Maybe that'll happen. He'll probably punk out of it. Oh, let me give you my picks, by the way, for tonight in the NBA. We went 1-1 last night in the NBA.
So we got a couple of selections tonight. Indiana taking on Charlotte. Charlotte is favored by 2. The over-under's 223.5. Karis LeVert is out. TJ Warren is also out. Jimmy Butler's buddy is out. I think that's going to hurt Indiana. I like Indiana, by the way. I like them. I think they're a gritty little team. Charlotte is obviously an improved team. They're playing much better. And they cut LiAngelo Ball. So, that's also another thing there. I got 2 here on this one. Charlotte is home. I'm going to go with the home team. They're laying 2. I like Charlotte to win this game. With LeVert out, I think that really hurts them a little bit. So I'm going to go Charlotte -2. They win this game. And I like the over 223.5. I can't say that these two are going to play some great D. So I think there'll be some points scored. I'm going to go over 223.5 plus Charlotte -2 in this game. Knicks -2 at Boston. Now, Horford is out, and Brown is coming back now from COVID, and he's kind of still getting his wind. So I don't know how much usually these guys or any of us, when you're coming back from a COVID attack, it kind of takes you a while to get yourself back to normal again. And to be a NBA player, I think it'll be a little bit of a challenge. Plus, the Knicks are home, and they're only favored by 2. I kind of like the Knicks to give you an inspired effort tonight. And Boston is kind of soft at times. So I'm gonna go Knicks -2 at home hosting the Celtics. Philly is at New Orleans. Philly is favored by 3. We just heard from Joel Embiid. The over and under's 226. There is no Zion Williamson. Now, I know that D'Angelo is going to play, and he is obviously one of their better offensive players along with Zion. But without Zion, they lose that mismatch issue that they have with him because he is such a mismatch. I'm going to go with Philly on this one. On the road in New Orleans, but New Orleans is not a place that really is a home court advantage. I've been to that arena. I've been to games live there, and it's not impressive at all. I'm going Philly -3 in this one, an inspired effort. I think they win by 7 or 8 points in this one. Oklahoma City is at Utah. Oklahoma City is just not a good team. They're really, really young. They're unproven. They're led by guys that don't have great shooting percentages. Utah can play defense. Utah is favored by 12 points. It's a lot of points, but it is at Utah. The over and under is 221. Guess what? I'm going to go ballsy here. I'm going to lay the 12. I think Utah blows out OKC in the opener. Denver is at Phoenix. Phoenix is favored by 6. The over and under is 223. So the question is, Phoenix, can you get back to where you were last year? Was it a fluke? So they're going to be motivated. Denver is healthy, ready to go. I'm actually going to go with the over here, over 223. Why? The 6 points is a little too much. Denver's a hell of a team. They can keep it within that 6. I like points in this game. I think both of these teams were going to go well over 100 points. And I think we'll be able to get over 2-3 in the contest. So I'm going Charlotte -2 over 223.5 in Charlotte game. I'm going Knicks -2 against Boston. I'm going Philly -3 at New Orleans. I'm going Utah -12 home against OKC. And I'm going to go over 223 Denver at Phoenix. Those are the selection in tonight's NBA slate. I am not picking anything in soccer today. I am not picking Inter Miami or going against them. I'll be rooting for them. They're favored by half a goal. I wouldn't touch that game with a 10-foot pole. All right. So apparently my stream is lagging big time. That's what they say. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get ready for the final stretch of the program. And hopefully, Alan Poupar will be joining us. We'll get the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report next.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show. Judge, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Orlando, aka the Big O. He covers colors.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Let's get ready to talk Dolphins football. It's the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Report with Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupard. With locations throughout South Florida, Sports Grill is the home of the special grilled wings. Check out our sponsored locations in Miami on Bird Road and 114th and in Miami Lakes in the Royal Oaks Plaza. Here's Miami Dolphins insider Alan Poupard.
There he is, ready to go, ready to rock. Alan Poupard, our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins insider report with a beautiful sky, but no Montreal Expos hat. What's going on with that, dude? You kind of dropped the ball there. Not on camp days.
Dropped the ball there. Bad move. Bad rookie move.
Yeah. Tell you, man. God. I don't know. Maybe you were trying to get your Braves hat or something for the playoffs. Are you a Braves fan now during the playoffs? Do you inherit a team during the playoffs since you have no team?
No, hell no. No, this is inexcusable, actually. I'll blame it on my bad health of the last couple of weeks or senility, one of the two. It's a bad move. I dropped the ball.
Recovered?
I feel shame.
Are you recovered? You feeling close to 100%, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I'm good. It's behind me now, so I'm very happy about that.
You lost some weight. You know that, right?
Well, my wife tells me. So she said that's one good thing that happened with that. So.
Yeah, because
silver linings, right?
You got a haircut and your face looks a little skinnier. So
I also trimmed the beard. Beard shop.
Maybe that's what it is. You didn't lose weight. You just got a skinnier face because of the beard, and I'm getting fooled. No, you really look. I
like the first part better.
No, if your wife said you lost it, then I read it right. Then, so unless you're lying to me and just trying to make me.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you, because the way I kind of look at the rest of the season now, playoffs are out, so we're not thinking about any of that kind of stuff and a miracle turnaround or all of that. But is it two things? One, obviously, is the development of Tua from here on out. And then two, I was talking about this earlier. Your coaches need to be tested. Well, this is a great test for Brian Flores to see how he can overcome all of this adversity. Is that the way we should look at this season?
No question about it on both counts. To me, priority number one and far above anything else is let's see what Tua has, and let's see those clear signs that he's a guy who can become a franchise quarterback, that the Dolphins do not need to go quarterback shopping next offseason, and then we've got 12 weeks to make that happen. Number two is even if there are no playoffs in the cards, and as you mentioned, the odds are really, really not good, but let's see how this team can bounce back from this adversity and, pardon the cliche, but right the ship a little bit to where it's not going south every single week and it's getting worse. But instead, let's see some improvement. Let's see some uptick to where Maybe they pick up a surprise win or two down the stretch, beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and make themselves competitive and finish with a respectable record to where then you can convince yourself, yeah, maybe this regime deserves another shot.
I'm with you there. How did you think he played this past week? Because I thought he was excellent. I thought he was really smart, how he got rid of that football with a quickness behind that line. I thought he helped that line actually this past week overall. In other words, I don't think he was the problem.
No, he wasn't a problem. I don't know if I go as far as to say he was excellent, because to me, there are a couple of caveats I would put in there. Is number one, I mean, despite his big numbers, number one, he was playing Jacksonville, which is god-awful on defense. I mean, brutal. He threw to a lot of wide-open receivers. And the couple of things that I find troubling is, number one, is passer rating, which was 95.1, which is pretty good. Guess what? It was the second lowest of any quarterback who's faced Jacksonville this year. That's number one. Number two, the Dolphins, despite Tua's 329 yards, put up 20 points, which was the lowest total against Jacksonville this year, which brings me to my final question here is, are we certain that if Jacoby Brissett had played quarterback against Jacksonville, that the Dolphins wouldn't have scored more points? So I don't know. I would tell you that for his first game back from the rib injury, I thought Tua played pretty well. I certainly wouldn't go excellent. I saw, I don't know if it was Rex Ryan or somebody else who said that he really struggled. I'm not buying that either. To me, it was somewhere in between. There were some good throws. There were some poor decisions. But if that's going to be the level of performance every week, I'm not sure that's good enough.
No, well, I mean, I think it also depends on the rest of the team too. I mean, you know, he needs help also in the process. I think that's kind of, I mean, on 4th and 1, you take the ball out of his hands, and you know that was your most reliable thing all game long. Your running game has yet to be reliable all season long. So I think it also depends, and this is what rolls over into coaching decisions that have gone on, not just this past week, but for 6 weeks now. Several decisions that can be questioned right now with Flo and company. That has to also assist this quarterback like it assists every quarterback out there, bro. I mean, Mahomes has a real positive that he's got Reed and Bieniemy on the sidelines. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Tua has that right now.
No, I agree, but to a certain point, if the guy's a clear franchise quarterback, yeah, it helps that Mahomes has Andy Reid with him. Do we really think for a second that Mahomes would have problems if he didn't play for Andy Reid? I don't think so. I mean, again, if what we want, and for me, I don't want Ryan Tannehill for another 6-7 years. I really don't. Okay, and Ryan Tannehill. No. Oh well, that's the thing. And if we're saying that he needs help from everybody else around on the offense, which is understandable. But if we're making that a big thing, then you're talking Ryan Tannehill, because now Ryan Tannehill's succeeding in Tennessee, sure, because he's got Derrick Henry, who's rushing for 150 yards, despite the fact that opponents are doing nothing but focusing on stopping him. So that's number one. Number two, in a big picture type of thing, it completely boggles the mind if you take the ball out of Tua's hand on that 4th and 1, when part of the evaluation process, and the Dolphins have to think big picture here, part of the evaluation process is, can the kid deliver in situations like these? Don't hand off to Malcolm Brown out of the shotgun formation on 4th and 1. I mean, that was brutal. That was brutal.
No, that was brutal. Has been Malcolm Brown, period. I mean, nothing has worked, with Malcolm Brown overall. I mean, it just these are the things that are kind of frustrating right now when you're looking at this Dolphin team. Would you make any other changes on the offensive line this week?
No, because I don't know that anything you do is going to make it better. I thought the offensive line looked okay. I saw some places where people are like, again, throwing flowers at Tua for making the offensive line look good. Well, they had some plays where the protection was really good in and of itself. And I think back to the 4th down pass to Mac Hollins to the 10-yard line. I think that was in the first or second quarter, I want to say. I mean, he had all day to throw. That was, perfect pass protection. It's not perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. but I don't know what change you can make that's going to make the offensive line that much better, number one. Number two, as Brian Flores mentioned this morning when I asked him about the offensive line, there's something to be said for continuity and guys playing in the same spot every week. I mean, we've had the Jacksonville game was the first time they actually stuck with the same line with the guys in the same spot for 2 games in a row. And again, to me, it wasn't great. And if we want to look at that failed 4th down play, the biggest problem I saw up front wasn't an offensive lineman. It was Durham Smythe, who got smoked by Josh Allen moving inside. And if we're talking about Malcolm Brown, if I may touch on that very quickly, well, that's what you get when you keep bargain shopping for running backs. This has been the Dolphins' approach. They keep saying, we're happy with our guys, we're happy with our guys. Well, no offense, but you have a bunch of Jags. And Myles Gaskin, who logically should be the best running back on that roster, couldn't catch a cold on Sunday. So that's a problem. And they don't have anything special at running back right now, which doesn't help the offensive line, because if the blocking's not there, the running backs are just not going to make anything happen on their own. Lost you.
And because at this point, man, every game for them is a game they could lose, unfortunately. I can't even say every game or any game is a winnable game. They've got to be careful because they can lose any game now. Falcons, they got the bye week, which Miami chose not to have the bye week last week. So your thoughts?
You kind of completely cut off, so I'm not quite sure what the question was.
Well, they got the Falcons this week. Did you pick them to win? Because it seems like every game now, we can't say anymore, this is a winnable game. No, this is actually a game they can lose. And the Falcons ended up with a bye week, and Miami chose not to have a bye week. So how do you look at it now? Because let me tell you, dude, when I've gone to LA and come back within the same week, I'm not the same person for like a week and a half or 2 that you're kind of discombobulated. So I'm just wondering, for these guys, they went a lot farther, a 5-hour difference, and had to make the trip back.
No, and then as a concession to that, dealing with playing right after playing in London, Brian Flores scheduled a walkthrough on Wednesday, which is very unusual. Usually you'll see walkthroughs either on Thursday or Friday. But he mentioned the fact that the guys were coming back off a long trip, which is why he scheduled a walkthrough. No, it's not ideal. And I haven't made my final prediction yet, but it's, as I sit here right now, it's impossible to pick the Dolphins based on what we've seen. I mean, there's no signs that they're getting out of this torpor they're in. And the Falcons are not a great team, but they can throw the ball, and they might have Calvin Ridley in this game, which certainly not going to help matters for the Dolphins. We don't know yet the status of Xavier Howard and Byron Jones for the game Sunday. I mean, they're out at the walkthrough, but again, it's a walkthrough, and basically, unless your leg's in a cast, you're going to be out there. So, no, you mentioned it, like right now, forget winnable games. Every game is a losable game for the Dolphins, and that might even include a game against Houston, like in 2 Sundays from now.
Alan,
three Sundays from now.
Right. Before I let you go, what are you hearing? What's your gut telling you? Stephen Ross normally doesn't make changes, but there are plenty of people that want blood in the water, and they saw the trade of Grant a couple of weeks ago, and this week they saw nothing happen after the loss to the Jags. Do these guys survive the year, or do you think it's still one of those things that's the jury's still out, that it all depends on how this season finishes? How do you think Ross is approaching the rest of this season?
Oh, I think it's a trial period for Brian Flores and Chris Greer. And again, it's going to depend on how the team responds. And the fact that, Stephen Ross has made changes in season before. Tony Sperano in 2011, Joe Philbin in 2015. So it's not like he hasn't done it before. I think Brian Flores built a lot of equity by guiding the Dolphins to that 10-6 record last year, when their talent level maybe did not suggest 10-6. I think if it goes completely south the rest of the way, once we get to that bye week December 12th. I certainly would say it's impossible that a change would be made, but I do think that Brian Flores is going to be given every opportunity to get things back on the right track. And what's going to happen on the field on Sunday is going to determine whether he has a shot of coming back next year.
There he is, Alan Poupart. Catch him a couple times a week here. You'll catch him again in the post-game show. Hopefully we'll be talking about a Dolphins win against the Falcons when we're at Sports Grill in Miami Lakes this week. Alan, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you taking some time, and we will catch up on the weekend, my friend. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it would be a nice change to be talking about a win instead of a loss.
Yes, please. Let's do that. All right, Alan. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. There you go. The Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report.
This has been the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report with Alan Poupart, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and never miss a report. Search Big O Radio Show on most platforms. Visit Sports Grill in our sponsored locations in Miami on Bird Road and 114th and in Miami Lakes in the Royal Oaks Plaza.
We wrap it up here because I guess Dean Brown was coming after me for getting my facts right. Big O, Culpepper best year was retired. Moss missed last half year, torn hamstring. He still passed for 4,700 yards. Know your facts first. Robert Smith was also retired. The only thing you got right was Robert Smith retired. Moss played in 13 games, had 13 touchdowns. So you're full of shit. Had 757 yards. Nate Burleson played 16 games, had 9 touchdowns. And Marcus Robinson played 16 games and had 8 touchdowns and 657 yards. Burleson had 1,000. So he had a hell of a receiving core. You're right. Jake Reed wasn't there. Well, you didn't mention it, but Jake Reed wasn't there already, and Carter was gone. But he did have a good receiving core because Marcus Robinson was a good receiver. Okay, and so was Nate Burleson. But, whatever, bro. The bottom line is I was right that he had a great receiving core. And he wasn't a great quarterback ever. He was just an athlete with the ball in his hands, and they had a bunch of wide receivers all throughout his tenure there. That's why he was able to put up yards. It wasn't anything. He was a freakish athlete, but please. So get your facts straight because Moss played 13 games and had 13 touchdowns. But that's all right, dude. No problem. Anyway, we wrap it up. We thank, of course, Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro, Franco Panizo, and Alan Poupart, and most of all, Sean Stanley, the stud, the executive producer of this show, putting it all together. And we thank all of you out there, whether you sent a super chat, whether you sent in on Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. If you sent in a donation, thank you. We love you for that. And, of course, if you send in a text, a tweet, appreciate it. Appreciate you listening. We will catch you on Sunday at Sports Grill in Miami Lakes, baby. We'll see you there as we broadcast live. See you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a good one.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.